We're going to get started here this evening. Echo. So for the recording booth.
Gordon, echo.
We got to add echo.
Echo.
Is Mr. Wood here? The other Mr. Wood.
He's back. It's annoying after
Hi. Okay. We'll hold off until you're done.
We don't want to hear everything
All right,
twice.
you can continue your conversation. False alarm.
Stay tuned.
Speak. Oh, there's no echo. All right.
Got it now.
All right, now we're good to go. Maya, is Gordon all set this time? Okay.
Okay, we're for reals now.
All right, we're gonna get going here in 5, 4, 3. Good evening, Canby. Welcome to the August 5th, 2026 City Council meeting. We have a very jam-packed agenda, so we'll get going. If you'll please stand for the invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this amazing community that we have. Tonight, I just want to lift our men and women that are from Canby that are spread all over the West here, fighting fires and trying to save homes and lives and just overall communities. I want to lift up the Spokane community and the huge loss there of homes and structures that are happening there. Please bring our Canby firefighters home safe and sound. We do appreciate their service and just ask for their protection. In your name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Miss Maya, roll call, please.
Councillor Patton?
Here.
Council President Hensley?
Here.
Councillor Maldonado?
Here.
Mayor Hodson?
Here.
Councillor Davis?
Here.
Councillor Stearns?
Here.
And Councillor Waterman?
Here, online.
Great. Thank you all. Next on the agenda is staff introductions, and tonight we have a swearing in of a police officer. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Gonzalez.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, City Council, members of the public, everybody back home. Well, today I got the privilege. It'll be my first swearing-in ceremony as a chief. So let's see what we do. Hopefully I can step up and do a good job. So first I want to introduce Officer Quesada. Can you come over here, please? Stand by me here. So I'm just going to give you a little background about Officer Quesada. Officer Quesada was born and raised in Oregon. He has been married to his wife, Taylor Quesada, which is right here. And his three kids, we got Daniel, Emma, and Rebecca, right? All right. Plus, you got more families here. I don't have all their names.
You were on a roll, Chief. That was good.
That was
Thank you for
good.
being here. Officer Quesada started his law enforcement career in 2017. He was with the Plaquemines County Sheriff's Office as a correction deputy. During his time there, he took a lot of responsibilities over there, including serving as a CERT operator. CERT operator is almost like the SWAT team inside the jails. They take care of high-risk incidents and any emergency inside the jails. Also, besides that, he was a defensive tactics instructor for the jail correction officers. In his free time, he likes to go fishing and spend time with his family, right? Yep. He was hired March 16 this year, and 2 weeks later, he was sent to the academy, DPSSD, for 16 weeks. After 16 weeks, it was Friday, July 31st, he graduated from the DPSSD. While he was there in front of 300 folks there, and plus his class, he was awarded the Outstanding Defensive Tactics Instructor or Operator Award for the DPSSD. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Since then, he's been assigned to the field training that we do officer after graduating from the academy. He's going to be with multiple coaches for several months until he's ready to go solo. We expect to go solo soon so we can put it to work so he can help us out on the schedule, right? Officer Quezada chose the Canby Police Department once he figured out he wanted to be a police officer, get out of that corrections facility. And he chose Canby because he thought Canby was a great place. He interacted with officers in the past when our officers taking people to jail, and he interacted with our officers. He felt that Canby was the great place. He lives in the area. His family was here, multiple families here, so he's home, as he described it to me. He basically can't wait to start working here, working with the professionals from the police department that he feels is every day, every time he interacts with everybody here. And with that, Judge, if you wouldn't mind, have the oath.
Sure about this?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Stephen Quezada,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and uphold
that I will support and uphold
the constitutions of the United States and the state of Oregon,
the constitutions of the United States and the state of Oregon,
the charter and ordinances of the city of Canby,
the charter and ordinances of the city of Canby,
remaining in compliance with
remaining in compliance with
the professional standards established
professional standards established
by the department's mission,
by the department's mission,
values, and professional code of ethics,
values, and professional code of ethics,
department policies and directives,
department policies and directives,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the duties
of the police officer for the city of Canby, Oregon,
of a police officer for the city of Canby, Oregon,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now we got it. Sign the paper.
It is too late now. Sign for you.
Sign real quick so I don't forget. Thank you, Judge.
All right,
Appreciate it.
you bet.
And now to culminate the swearing-in ceremony, we're gonna honor his wife, Taylor, to pin the badge on Officer Quezada. Please, here we go. I'll get out of the way so you can stand right here. Quezada, turn yourself this way. You go.
There you go.
Photo op.
Great, she did it. Thank you. Now the officers will go with the family to the PD, and I will give it a tour and have some refreshments there. Thank you very much.
Perfect. We'll take a pause and let you guys do that. Good job, Chief.
Thank you.
Yes.
Normally, we'd ask you a bunch of questions, but
You want any-
Do you wanna say
Chief already answered everything we probably would have asked you, so.
Does he want to say anything?
Yeah, you want?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, for coming out, for the support. Really excited to, serve the community and to start my career with a great department. So, yeah, day 3 of, FTEP, and looking forward to many, many more.
Perfect. Well, welcome. Thank you very much for choosing Canby.
All right, thank you, welcome. All right.
All right. We will,
Permission, they're gonna walk out.
absolutely. They sure they don't want to stay and,
She wants the cookies.
yeah, right, yeah. What's that? I know, I was gonna say cookies. Yeah, I'm in.
You didn't bring any cookies?
No. All right, thank you, Chief. Next on our agenda this evening, if those of you that are waiting for seats, you can fill in, that's great. We will move into citizen input and public comment. So this is on non-agenda items or community announcements. This is an opportunity for audience members to address the council on items not on the agenda. If you are attending in person, please complete one of these white cards. They're located on the podium there by the back door where Mr. Wiggins just walked in. Please fill that out, bring it to the city recorder, and we will allow you to address the council. If you'd like to speak virtually, because you can't attend the meeting, please contact the deputy city recorder by 4:30 on the nights of our city council meetings. When you do come up to address the council, make sure you're addressing the mayor, and you have 3 minutes. Maya, there isn't anyone online this evening?
There will be one later on for the e-bike
Okay,
item.
perfect, thank you. So then the only other card I have for public comment is Mr. Perez about city projects.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I'm Greg Perez. I live at 121 Northwest 12th here in Canby. And good evening to the city administrator, city admin, and the city councilmen and women. Today, I'd just like to, I'm speaking for some of the community over by the new park. And what they're looking for is an answer and some transparency on how long it's going to take. And they're already talking about, is it going to be November or whatever? And I know that you're probably dealing with contracts, waiting for something to get approved, but they would like to know what's going on. And then the second, not issue, but questions I have from people is, where are we at on the intersection for the fairgrounds and the caboose and that intersection? I know we started on it and it was addressed a while back. And
The
we want to know,
realignment?
pardon me?
Okay, the
The
realignment
intersection.
is what you're talking about? Okay.
And people want to know when are we going to come about? When are we going to start that? Is it money that's stalling the project? Do we have any projects ahead of that it can't be done, or is it going to be done? I don't know where we're at on it, and I'd like to know, and so would the community. So that's all I have, and you don't need to answer me now if you don't have the answers. So, and if you want to, I'll listen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Ely, do we have anything regarding the park? I know that we're close to that.
Mayor, Council, Mr. Perez, I think you're going to hear a little bit more in a few minutes about the opening of the park and when those dates are, soft opening and grand opening. And then today, ironically, we did meet with a project management firm to kick off our Pine Street project. Engineering will be working with Spencer on that. That's the first one in the queue, and had a good meeting today. Don Hardy was there, our planning director, so that one's getting fired up for at least 30% drawings and look at options, because the way that gets routed is very technical, as you know, and involves private property, so.
Okay.
Mayor,
The ODOT is involved in that too, right? The intersection.
I believe.
Perfect, thank you, sir.
The park, is it going to be green and cut prior to this opening? Because it looks like a wild field right now. Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes, it's going to look nice.
okay. I just, are you going to paint it green or? Thanks.
Thanks.
All the other white cards I have this evening are regarding the e-bike presentation later on, so we will come back to those. Seeing no other comments, we'll move into item 5 this evening, which is a special presentation by the Heritage and Landmark Commission, giving us an update. Ms. Palmer, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Am I on?
You are on.
Cool. Okay, I'm here for 3 reasons. First of all, I have a request. Secondly, an update. And finally, an invitation. Okay, let's make sure I'm using this the right way, because I never do. No. Okay. Just wanted to go to page 2. The request is, I'm asking you to help me get the word out. I'm on the County Cultural Coalition Board, and our grants are about to open in about a month. And there's so many, one of the things I wanted to do when I joined the board was to increase the amount of participation from Canby. And we really have had some uptick in that. But I think there's some organizations that could be taking advantage of this that are not. And you are all connected via your position on city council to liaisons, to city boards and commissions, but also you're connected to nonprofits like Together Canby and the Canby Adult Center, things like that. The cultural grant, in case you don't know, is really nice for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's an upfront payout. So it's not like you apply for the grant, do the work, buy the supplies, and then 6 months after you need it, you get a check. You actually get the check up front, which is totally cool. There's no required match, and it is not limited to nonprofits and public entities. So individuals and businesses can apply for these grants. Now, they're small. They're like $3,000, $3,500, maybe if we're lucky. Previous Canby recipients, the Friends of the Library, Canby Historical Society, they're using it right now to build a shed for their storage. Mark Prairie Historical Society did a really cool thing. They contracted with Econo Northwest to do a competitive analysis to see, they were interested in, okay, if we get this, the schoolhouse back and up, will we be able to sustain it? We need to find an income stream, so that they use the grant to pay for that, and Slice of Summer. So those are just some ideas. Okay, so please help me get the word out, and I'll make sure that, let me say one other thing, that I am available if somebody needs help, if they need ideas, they need me to proofread one of the grant application or give them some suggestions as to how they can make it stronger. I am available to help anyone with that.
So,
Okay.
Carol, thank you for this. And I would say, yes, anyone should reach out to you if you need a prolific grant writer. She is the one that you need to talk to. So right now, you're just looking for
Spread the word.
spreading the word and getting organizations to maybe
Right.
apply for this grant.
Yeah.
Okay, we can definitely do that. I think this is a start. This is good.
Estacada just nails this every time, and I think we're better than Estacada. I think we can beat them.
I know Mayor Drinkwine, and I can definitely confirm that we are better than Estacada.
Good.
So, yes. And Malala, because I know that Mayor Kaiser will watch this later on, so.
Okay.
Nice big
Good.
weekend with mayors, you better watch.
Oh, yeah,
better
that
be
might,
careful.
I might be, need to be careful. So, yes, we'll spread the word, Carol, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, now, so when I was here mid-June, I told you that the following week I was going to be going before the State Commission to put forth the application for the National Register application for our former City Hall. And they approved it, but they asked that I do two things. And one was to add some information, which was, you're looking at right up there. For those of you that are not familiar, that is a photo of the jail in the old City Hall. It is still there. I took that just a couple of weeks ago. And just a little bit of history about those jail cell doors. They were not new to the City Hall on Holly Street. They were actually installed in 1915 in the City Hall that at one time sit at 314 Northwest 1st, which is now Joy Kitchen. That was the City Hall beginning in 1902. So the 1936 City Council, trying to be Depression-era sensitive, decided that they weren't going to buy new jail cell doors. They moved these and put them in that space that's there now. So that's one of the photos that I had to send back. And then the next photo, this will be a trip down memory lane for some of you.
Oh, my goodness. I just scrolled ahead. Wow.
Yeah.
Those are the days, huh?
Yeah, right.
1961, this was the rear annex that was added. I'm not sure why they wanted to see this, because we've torn it down like, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is interesting because it was originally the auxiliary fire equipment garage. And if you look closely, you can actually see where the 3 bay doors are outlined in the. And at some point, somebody decided it was really going to be a good place for the city council to meet. I'm not sure they really thought that through, but that's what it was. So that's gone now. Finally, the next slide. On June 26th, as I said, it was approved. It has already been sent off to the National Park Service. They had it as of last week, and so we should have a decision mid-September. Yay.
So, question,
Yeah.
Carol. When the old City Hall was put on the National Register, why was the jail not included in that?
Oh, the jail is.
It is, okay.
Yeah. The jail's there. They really like photos. They're,
Okay.
I guess, a visual group. And that was the one thing we didn't have a photo of for them. So
Okay,
they just
gotcha.
asked that we include it.
Well, if you've not seen the jail, it is very, very dungeon-like.
It
So,
is, it
yes.
is. It could still be a jail.
It could
There's
be.
still cots there. There's still bars on the door. Yeah.
There you go, Jose, if you run out of space.
Do we still have the keys?
I think there's a huge hole in one of it because a bunch of the internet wires and power wires went through it.
Yes, at one time it was the mechanical room, right, right. And part of the jail was taken out and it was made into the vault. I don't know if you remember the vault, you kind of stepped down into it, it felt kind of, weird, but it was a good vault. Okay, then the last thing is an invitation. First Thursday, we're doing a historical ribbon cutting, and thank you, Council President Hensley, for agreeing to cut the ribbon for us. We really appreciate that. It's going to be done in front of Aura Salon and Oregon Texas Line Fitness. Those buildings are not new. There's not new tenants there, but the new owner has done a great job of restoring it to its original historic look, which is wonderful. And so we just want to recognize that, not only because of that, but because of the fact that it is a Kaler building. And I think I mentioned to you in June that George and John Kaler have did build 5 of the existing businesses buildings on First Avenue. So we're taking this opportunity to recognize them, because that's one of those, they're people that aren't really well known in our history, but they had a really big impact on us. We have 5 businesses operating in their buildings right now, and they really add a lot of charm and character to our downtown. So we want to make sure that we do this recognition. So please come and join us. And that's it.
Great.
Thank
Carol,
you.
thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is discussion if there's anything that the council needs to remove from the consent agenda, which,
Mr. Mayor, no, I don't.
okay,
I jumped the gun.
it's coming up. Well, in that case, then we'll move into a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda that includes the approval of the July 1, 2026 City Council meeting minutes and the July 8th, 2026 specially called City Council work session minutes.
Second.
Motion is made by Council President Hensley and seconded by Councilor Maldonado to approve the consent agenda, which include the July 1st, 2026 City Council meeting minutes and the July 8th, 2026 special called City Council work session minutes. Any discussion or questions? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That passes 6-0. All right. Next up is item 8. We have 2 appointments to approve tonight. The approval of Mark Johnson to the Bike and Pedestrian Committee with a term ending June 30th of 2029, and appointment of Mark White to the Traffic Safety Commission with a term ending June 30th, 2027.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the appointment of member Mark Johnson to the Bike and Pedestrian Committee with a term ending June 30, 2029, and member Mark White to the Traffic Safety Commission with the term ending June 30, 2027.
Second.
Sorry, was that you, Councilman Maldonado?
Sorry.
All right, the motion has been made by Council President Hensley and seconded by Councilor Maldonado to approve Mark Johnson for the Bike and Ped Committee and Mark White to the Traffic Safety Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Not seeing none, that passes 6-0. We have no public hearings this evening. Moving into item 10, ordinances and resolutions. Is this now where you want to make your, no?
I'm good.
Okay. Item 10A, resolution number 1468, a resolution designating the name of the new park located at North Locust Street and Northwest 20th as Daphne Glen. Mr. Spencer, hello, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is a resolution to officially name the new park that is located on North Locust Street as Daphne Glen. This is the first time that I think that we have brought forward renaming of a park. This one is new and hasn't had an official name. But this one, submissions were given to the Parks and Rec Board over several meetings. They went through and reviewed all of those. They felt that this one, being Daphne Glen, was what fit Canby the best. The property that the park is built on was formerly a nursery from a local family. One of the plants that they grew on that nursery were the Daphne. And so everyone kind of thought that that kind of helped go along with Canby being the garden spot, and felt that that name represented the best for Canby. So,
Great. Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Pollock?
No, I think it's a great name.
It is a great thing. This is great. Thank you, sir. I will say that we don't usually read the ordinances or resolution, but I thought it was pertinent to read it. So it's a resolution designating the name of the newly constructed city park on North Locust Street is Daphne Glen. So whereas the city of Canby is probably known as the garden spot and values its rich horticultural heritage, and whereas the name Daphne Glen reflects to both the history of the site and the natural beauty of the park is intended to preserve and enjoy, and whereas the city council finds it appropriate to recognize the property's unique past through the official name of the park. So now therefore it is hereby resolved by the city council of the city of Canby that the city-owned park located at North Locust Street is hereby officially named Daphne Glen. This resolution will take effect August 5th, 2026, and if it's adopted by the city council. Do we want to address any of the upcoming events for the park?
yes, I wasn't sure to address that before or after it, but we're currently working on the final closeouts of the contract with the construction company that won the bid, Canal. They've been great to work with. There's been a few hiccups with supply chain, which is why it's taken longer to get going. And then the landscaper subcontractor has been battling trying to get the turf established to where we can turn it over to the general public. Been working with them to try to come up with understanding. Typically, we would wait until it's completely met our spec and standard before opening. We realize that this is a very sought-after park and everyone's really excited. So we're working with them. I'm hoping to have an exact answer for the soft opening this week. I'm hoping the soft opening can be this week. And then we're looking at a grand opening the week of the fair.
So coming right up.
Coming right up.
Perfect. That's great news. I know that there was question.
Yes.
You answered those. Thank you. Perfect.
Ready for a motion?
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt resolution number 1468, a resolution designating the name of the new park located on North Locust Street and Northwest 20th as Daphne Glen.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Davis and seconded by Councilor Patton to approve Resolution 1468, a resolution designating the name of the new park located on North Locust Street, Northwest 20th as Daphne Glen. Any further comment or discussion? I will. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes 6-0. Thank you, Spencer. Appreciate it. I do want to thank our Park and Rec Advisory Board. As we were just talking about, we didn't ever have a process for naming parks. And so the Park Advisory Board went through a pretty extensive conversation to figure out what's the best way to make it a fair and equitable way to nominate how we name our parks. And so I think this coming out of the gate as our first one, I think is a really great, as it said in the resolution, just paying respect and acknowledging our history from a agricultural standpoint. So this is great. So thank you to that committee for doing that. Then we'll move into 10B, calendar of second readings.
Mr. Mayor, I
Yeah.
would like, considering that I see a lot of folks here, I want to speak to the ordinance, and I personally have I would like to hear staff's representation of it and maybe some tweaks of language, I would like to pull ordinance 1675 from the calendar of second readings and consider it separately.
Okay.
Do my colleagues agree?
Is there a second? Thank you.
Patton.
All those in favor of moving it as a separate item?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will pull that out here and discuss that separately. Then I guess I'll just take a motion to, regarding number 1674. So.
Okay, I will move to.
Thank you.
I will move to adopt ordinance number 1674, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to enter into an agreement for the city prosecutor services between the City of Canby and the Sahel City Prosecutor.
Second.
All right, so the motion's been made by Council President Hensley and seconded by Councilor Maldonado to approve ordinance number 1674, an ordinance authorizing the interim city administrator to enter an agreement for city prosecutor services between the City of Canby and Lucy Hale, city prosecutor. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I think this one involves the roll call.
You know, you are
oh,
correct. because It's a
It
second.
does.
Thank you. I meant to do that, Maya.
And before I do the roll call, if it's okay, I just wanted to mention that during the first reading, there were some questions amongst the language and how it was a little bit confusing, and so I wanted to let you know that I worked with legal counsel to update the language so it's more clear, so. All right, Counselor Patton.
Aye.
Counselor Maldonado.
Aye.
Counselor Davis.
Aye.
Counselor Stearns.
Aye.
Counselor Waterman.
Aye.
And Council President Hensley.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Maya. All right, so the item we removed is ordinance number 1675. So it's an ordinance for the City of Canby regarding the operation of electric assisted vehicle or bicycles, motor assisted scooters or e-scooters, and electric personal assistive mobility devices and the such. And so, our last meeting, we had a really good presentation and dialogue by the council about this very topic. I think we're the third city, I think, that's looking at adopting something along this lines to add some language to what that means in our city. And so what we're going to do, just to add some structure, it's not really a public hearing, but I'll have Chief Gonzalez give a staff report, and then any questions of staff by the council. And then once we've done that, I will definitely take a public comment from the white cards that I have here. And I think there's somebody online that will also take their feedback as well. And then it'll be a council conversation about the language and then a vote thereafter. So am I covering that correctly, sir?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Chief Gonzalez, it's all yours, sir. Captain Murphy, hello.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm going to have Captain Murphy get the staff report. He's done a lot of work. He was designated to this task a few months ago. But before I start, I'd like to do some kudos to some members of the Canby citizens and business. We had Mr. Perez and Canby Graphics donated some pictures to visual aids for this presentation. Enlarged so people can see it, city council, people that are viewing from home, and the public that's here right now. And in addition to that, we brought in a neat motorcycle. So it was part of evidence for our police department. So you can see if we're very good on eyes what any motorcycle looks like. And if you have any questions, we can describe it. So that way we can have visual plus the presentation that Captain Murphy is going to make. If you have any questions that we can answer.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Hello, sir.
City Council, City Administration. This is our second reading. We spoke a few weeks ago in regards to the proposed ordinance, and during the first reading, there were some questions that came about and some more questions that have come forward from the community. So I'd like to go through line by line and address some of those questions. So one of the first questions that came up is, do we address helmets and required for riders under a certain age? We do. So state law already requires helmets up to 16 years of age. We propose to bolster that to bring it up to the age of 17. When you're an adult, you can make your own decisions. But for the safety of our community members, our youth who are riding these devices, we recommend that they wear a helmet until they're an adult. They can make their own decisions. We were asked if we could display some photos so we can see what the various devices are. So I guess this would be the time.
So I'm going to have the HR Director, Pete, who's going to assist us doing flipping the pictures for us so we all can see it. And then the pictures are very large, so we'll be able to see in detail what they look like.
They are very large.
So no reading glasses required for this one. This is an e-bike. This is a Type 1. As you can see, it looks like a standard bicycle. It's slightly swollen inside the frame itself. Moving to the Type 2 e-bike, it is not too dissimilar. And you can see some of the challenges of trying to identify the varied devices on the street. You can see that the frame itself begins to swell a little bit as the battery compartment starts to increase in size as it changes with capabilities. And then finally, the Type 3. Thank you, Dana. That was fantastic.
Thank you, Dana.
I mean, Chief Gonzalez. The Type 3 e-bike in this photo, as you can see, it's quite apparent. It's got a much larger electrical component there on the frame of the bicycle. However, in motion, moving at 20 miles an hour, there still may be challenges as well trying to identify it until a rider is contacted. So these are the motorized bicycle components. Then we can move into...
Pardon me real quick.
Yes, sir.
With this picture here, am I mistaken that while there is a gear where the pedals would be, there are no pedals on this particular?
I think it's obscured in the photo, but there should be pedals.
Okay, I thought that was the kickstand. Okay.
But yes, there are pedals on the Type 3 bike.
Okay.
Captain Murphy, another question?
Yes, sir.
Captain Murphy, what are the speeds on those bikes if you're not pedaling?
Yes, sir.
On e-bike 3 or just
On
on
all
each
three
one?
of them.
Okay.
And do the 1 and 2s also have pedals?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the clearest way to discern an electric bicycle from an electric motorcycle.
Gotcha.
I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but you can see the e-moto or electric motorcycle.
It's definitely, let me get closer to the speaker here. It's pretty clear it's an e-motorcycle. The difference between this e-motorcycle and a dirt bike, gas dirt bike, is one makes a lot of noise because it's gas, and this one doesn't. But obviously, both of them, it cannot be riding on the road, on the street, on the sidewalk. They're only designated to ride, where dirt bikes ride, they're allowed to ride. So this bike is illegal to ride it on the streets, any street, sidewalk, maybe private property, but no necessarily in the streets.
And Councilor Davis, sorry, I'm just going to address your question, sir. So the Class 1 electric bike, there's assistance only when the rider is pedaling, and ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches 20 miles per hour. The Class 2 may be propelled by its motor without the rider pedaling and can reach speeds of 20 miles per hour. And then the Class 3 ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches 28 miles per hour. As far as those classifications, those are already mandated by the Oregon revised statutes. So that is not something we chose, that's already in existence.
Okay.
And this is a photo from this bike. I just want to make it bigger for the people that watch it from home, or the public here. They can see it better.
All right. As far as the age brackets, it was asked, how did we determine the ages? So the ages as far as legal riding of the electric bicycles, electric scooters, are determined again by the state statute. So the state statute says at this point, you must be 16 years of age. Starting January 1st, that's going to change to 14 years of age for electric scooters and Class 1, Class 2 electric bicycles. But again, that's a state statutory requirement. That's not new information. We are just mirroring that within our ordinance. As far as the ages for citations, those again, the age groups who receive citations is again mirroring state statute. So the up to 11 years of age and then the 11 to 17 years of age as far as the varied who shall be cited, the child or parent in the second group respectively.
And the wording in our ordinance is the same as in the ORS?
That is my understanding.
Thank you.
So the question arose, if there's already Oregon revised statutes covering the use of electric motorcycles, electric bicycles, electric scooters, why do we need to adopt a statute? And as all laws governing things, it starts with the federal government. They provide us a very loose framework. And then we move down to the state level. And again, they provide outlines and framework. If a city chooses to flesh out that framework by creating an ordinance that fits their community better to provide safety, which is proportionate to the environmental concerns of their community or to their community members, that's when ordinances are adopted. So we heard the complaints, the concerns of community members, and that's why we looked at what our surrounding community partners like Westland, Happy Valley, Gladstone were looking to adopt, and that's why we're moving forward in a similar direction. So the question came about electric scooters and a person with disabilities. So the American Disability Act is covered by the federal government. That's not something that we can discriminate upon. If a person has a need of an electric mobility device, such as an electric wheelchair, there's nothing that we are going to govern that is going to prevent them from using such things. So the use of scooters on a sidewalk is prohibited under this. However, a person with ADA requirements who has to use that for their mobility, i.e. the electric wheelchair, would be able to do so under the American Disabilities Act. Why didn't we just throw bicycles into the same category? And the answer is because there's already city ordinances which cover bicycles pretty thoroughly, and this is it's a separate beast. So these are not bicycles; they are electric. They are motorized vehicles. That's why we chose to move forward with a separate ordinance as opposed to making an all-inclusive. As the ordinance might become too broad and a little messy, it's easier to have non-motorized and motorized within separate ordinances. So that's what propelled our decision for a different ordinance. Education and enforcement. So as we stated at the first reading, our goal is not to go out and immediately start writing citations. The police department and the city doesn't see an interest in that. Our goal is safety as far as the community is concerned. Our big push is if an ordinance is adopted to educate. And we would use all of our resources available to us in the forms of social media, city websites, available boards in the library, community centers, as well as through our school resource officers, directly through portals to parents to provide as much information as we can. If there is a perpetual problem or dangerous behavior that we think might need a citation to help fix that problem, then that's an officer's discretion and they can do so. But the mandate from the administration down is going to be education first, because that's our goal. We are not trying to be punitive to our community. We're trying to make our community safer.
Are we holding questions at the end, or?
Do you have a question?
Sponsorship of community events. So as council's aware, we've had a bike rodeo for many, many years, which Chief Tro started long, long ago. It wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility to have a mirroring event, but having our own ordinance, which could help us educate our community members to bring that event to fruition, I guess a purpose would be beneficial. If we'd had an opportunity to educate through that event, that would make it more enticing, I believe, for the community to support us in providing, as well as the people coming together to make that happen. All All right, so moving electric bicycles from sidewalks to roadways, it feels dangerous. What does discretion look like? Well, unfortunately, there's no discretion when it comes to the use of electric bicycles on sidewalks. So electric bicycles are already strictly prohibited. I believe it's ORS 814-410 or 140. My dyslexia might be kicking in. But it's right there in the ORS category of bicycles. Electric bicycles are not permitted on sidewalks. And actually circling back to that, because there was concern about safety with bicycles on sidewalks. That was a side conversation we had at the last council meeting. That statute already essentially says that you must proceed in the manner which is consistent with foot traffic on a sidewalk. So if a bicycle is proceeding at a speed near pedestrians or intersections which is above a walk, it's already a violation of that same statute that I quoted earlier. I hope I'm not putting you guys to sleep, forgive me.
No.
As far as insurance questions, so we had a couple questions pop up. One, what is the requirement as far as insurance to be held by a person operating an e-bicycle, e-scooter, electric mobility device? And then where does that liability fall if there is some sort of accident, i.e. a rider of one of those things creating some sort of damage? I am by no means an insurance expert. However, I do know one. And if I could call one forward.
We brought him.
Tim Gustafson, if you don't mind stepping forward, sir, from Gustafson Insurance, can absolutely speak to it as a subject matter expert.
You can take my seat, sir. Thank you.
So, sir, I'll just ask, what are the requirements as far as insurance to be held for a person with electric bicycle operation on a roadway?
Sure. So there are no insurance requirements for the 1, 2, or 3 e-bicycle. So there's no vehicle type insurance. When it comes to liability, the liability would be in the nature of personal liability. So that would come from someone's homeowner's policy or a renter's policy where they carry personal liability.
So just to clarify, if a rider of an e-bike damaged someone's car and it was their fault, that's where that homeowner's insurance would fall into place?
Correct.
Okay. And same with potential injury caused to a pedestrian. If a person on an e-bike, e-moto, electric scooter hits a pedestrian on a sidewalk and there's some sort of medical trauma.
Yeah, the recourse would be essentially that personal liability through the homeowner's or a renter's policy, or it would be small claims court, a court type of a situation.
I have a question about that.
Yes, sir.
So somebody who's a minor who injures somebody, either themselves or somebody else, injures somebody else, where does the liability lie on that?
That would fall to their parents then in that case, and I'm sure there's court precedent and things that I'm not an attorney, but that is where the types of situations would typically fall when a minor is involved. If there was negligence on the part of the parent in allowing them to go out and ride an e-moto, for example, around on the streets in the neighborhood and things like that, then they would have some liability there. So that's where that would come from.
Yes, Councilor Maldonado.
I just have a couple questions, actually. So obviously for the type 1, type 2, type 3, there is no licensing needed for it. However, with the off-road ones, are there going to be any upcoming ATV off-road permitting requirements for those? Like a dirt bike would have?
Yes, so if you are going to be operating it on a, let's say, a state park which allowed such activities, I would imagine there would be some sort of registration requirement. However, they are not street legal, so vehicle registration as we know it wouldn't be applicable. They don't typically have the required equipment as far as lights, signals, horns, all of those things, which are regulated by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So it's kind of a moot point.
Okay. The other question I had is, can we touch base on the speeds for the type 1, type 2, type 3 again?
Yes,
I noticed in the picture for the type 3, that is extremely similar to something that my son has. And what speed did you say that was?
So
for
up
the Type
to
3?
28 miles an hour.
So up to 28. Okay. How are you differentiating them based on the different types? Because I know with his, it's limited by the manufacturer and it cannot be modified past 15 miles an hour. And it would be considered a Type 3 just by looking at it. Is that just something that you guys discern upon interaction, or?
That could be a conversation, or that could be along the lines of activation of moving radar or laser, the LiDAR that officers keep inside their vehicles as well. So that could be determined as far as which category it would fall into.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Any other questions for my subject matter expert? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. And just to address something, Mr. Councilor Maldonado, if we were to contact an individual with an e-bike 3 or similar, and we're doing an investigation because we got a call for reckless driving or riding the bike, then we'll do an investigation. We can investigate the VIN number of the bike. We can contact the manufacturer. We will determine what kind of e-bike that is, and we'll satisfy that investigation with the citation or something similar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I believe I answered the questions that arose from the last council meeting. The only other concern was expediting the process of authorizing the ordinance and then potentially enforcing the ordinance. And I would defer back to the Oregon Health Authority numbers, which I provided the council last week, as far as the dramatic increases of injuries over the last couple of years. It has been a sharp spike in injuries as well as fatalities. So having the ability to have an ordinance in place so we could begin the education process, because we can't truly start moving forward with educating the community as far as our expectations if we don't have those expectations down on paper, and that would be the adoption of the ordinance.
I have a question that's kind of come from talking to some people, but is there in this ordinance a way to distinguish between things that are obviously toys that have, electric motors on it that maybe only go 5 or 6 miles per hour, and the things we're talking about, or we're talking wholesale, if it's got a motor, it's not allowed on the sidewalk?
Yeah, I think, as you can see from some of the photos, trying to discern between the various models can be challenging already, and whether it's one that doesn't meet speed requirements, whether it falls into the category or not, is difficult to tell. It would truly fall into observation from an officer, and then again, conversation with a person involved. If we're talking about a small electric scooter for a child that's moving along on the sidewalk at 5 miles an hour and that's the top speed, that's not a concern. It doesn't fall into the category. We're looking at things that are going to be of a greater speed. The greater speed, of course, we know is going to decrease the amount of reaction time, which is going to increase the likelihood of injury. So those are the concerns we have for our community.
Well, on the ordinance, it doesn't have a minimum, unless I'm
It does not,
missing
sir.
something.
I guess what I'm trying to present is there is a great deal of discretion as well. And discretion falls into play as far as traffic violations.
Council President Hensley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of things. One, I want to refer back to education and enforcement. I do understand that you explained that reason for the emergency clause last time. However, I had time to noodle that. And I feel like you can educate without an ordinance in place in the way that in the manner that you just described. Bike rodeos, school resource officer. I don't think teaching safe practices needs the ordinance in place. So that's why I'm just wanting to take a beat to make sure we get this right. I'm not saying I'm against doing this, because I'm not. I just want to make sure we get it right. I don't want to get it right the first time. So it may or may not be for passing it tonight. It depends on what we come up with. That said, I'm all for that kind of education process, but I know from being a kid myself some way back in the past, an officer pulling you over and saying, "Hey kiddo, let me talk to you for a minute." That's a lot scarier than talking to somebody at a bike rodeo. That will probably instill the seriousness of the matter. So what kind of enforcement do you see in the future?
So if we implement the ordinance, one of our missions we're going to do, and we're trying to implement, we got bike certified officers. Mainly, we're going to concentrate on the Logging Road Park and have officers do extra patrol there, observe what's going on there. We get a lot of complaints from that park. So we're going to be able to contact folks over there with the officers on a bicycle, basically riding the bike on the logging road, be able to contact and educate people there riding the bikes recklessly.
That brings me to my last question, is that kind of thing. The logging trail has been a huge subject.
Yes.
Here last time, and also online, all the comments that I'm sure you've seen, I know Randy's seen. But there's also certain neighborhoods that have had complaints. There are a lot of, there was one person who posted a video in the thread on Facebook about this subject, who apparently, I'm going to assume she had her camera in a cradle on her dash, because she was driving down Territorial and coming from the logging trail, just zipped across Territorial without even taking a look or a pause, narrowly getting hit. So what kind of, I don't know, can we have them posted like any other traffic operation in neighborhoods to see what those I don't want to say problem children, that's a bad word, those problem areas are, is that in the plan? Besides signage, okay, so we have 3 complaints from the same neighborhood about a group of kids, say. Can we post up an officer there, kind of just,
So
maybe
we do
the
that-
bike goes through that neighborhood instead of just the logging trail? Is that in the plan?
But definitely we could do that. We do it when we get complaints about during school, starting school, people speeding through the school zone. We put officers patrolling. We do officers undercover, marked patrol cars, observing. We can do that kind of operations. But definitely we want to educate the public at first. But if it continues the problem, we can do some other missions to encourage folks to follow the ordinance and practice safety practices. So we can do multiple things.
Okay.
It's on the table.
Okay, I ask these questions because not just this, but Emily is under the Traffic Safety Commission, so you can imagine we get
No,
a
I
lot
totally
of
understand.
complaints.
And we want to make sure that we present, first and foremost, education to the public through the schools, because mainly we're seeing is kids riding, and this, to be honest with you, is pretty fun. If I was a kid, I would ride it. It'd be great. But the concern is we don't want those kids to get hurt. Or maybe one of them could be then potentially killed, We don't want that. But I think we got the mindset that we're going to educate the public with the backup of the ordinance. And once we got that in place, then we can create multiple missions to educate, do sting operations where we just contact people, say, we just saw you this, don't do it anymore, give people warnings. That type of education process, like you mentioned, when the officer talks to a kid and say, saw you doing this violation. So I think we can do that.
Okay.
We need your support to have that ordinance, of course, that will give us a better tool for us to maintain, to do that.
Okay, and are we going to allow them on the logging trail? Because it is a park.
Yes, so per the current draft, it would allow operation of electric bicycles, electric mobility devices, as well as electric scooters on a logging trail. So we had some interesting conversation in regard to speed establishment and whether or not we allow electric vehicles on there at all, because as you pointed out, there's already a sign that says prohibited electric vehicles, which that sign needs to be fixed. But as opposed to having poor Spencer change the sign once and then change it again, we were hoping we would have a more permanent home for the fix. We have to allow electric vehicles there, again, under the American Disabilities Act, because we have to allow people with mobility issues to be able to access and use that park. However, we have the flexibility under the ordinance. If you want to look at section 1013-030 and in section B.
Section 10, wait, 1013-030?
1013-030, so that under the general operation regulations. So If you don't
Subset B,
mind,
you
I'll-
said?
I can read it aloud so the people in the audience can hear what it
Please
is.
do.
Please do. Thank
So
you.
a person may operate an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter or e-scooter, or or electric personal assisted mobility device in a city-owned park. In addition to this chapter, such operation shall be subject additional regulations applicable to each city-owned park. Additional regulations shall establish the maximum speed of operation, the location of operation within the park, and shall identify the specific vehicles and, if applicable, class of vehicles that may be operated in the park. The city administrator shall have authority to establish these regulations. These regulations shall be posted at each city-owned park. So that was the issue. We had a irrelevant speed adoption in the park. We didn't know where that came from. This clears it up, which is going to give the city administrator the ability, and of course, under the advisement of city council, to be able to establish what we feel are appropriate speeds for parks such as the logging road, since the operation is required of electric vehicles of some type.
Okay.
With, of course, the prohibition still of e-motorcycles, because that's going to be a public way, which they are not authorized for.
Okay.
Counselor Waterman and then Counselor Patton.
Thank you, Officer. Did you've received some feedback from the general public and questions and so forth. Did you also engage with the any advisory committees currently in place in discussions about this ordinance?
So I have been in attendance to the Bike Ped community on 2 different occasions. I did not attend the last Bike Ped committee prior to this council meeting, but I have attended and listened to their concerns. As far as direct communication with the people that brought the questions, I was not privy to the individuals who brought the questions forward. I only received the questions.
Okay, so this ordinance has had feedback from our citizen advisory committees as well, Bike and Ped, and I'm assuming Council President Hensley, Traffic Safety Commission, I think even the Parks and Rec Committee has discussed it as well.
We haven't had our meeting to actually discuss the ordinance, but we have discussed the issues and the complaints,
Right.
and we're hoping that something would come forward. I did send this to the chair of the Traffic Safety Commission, and I got no comments back from the committee. I think they're happy with the way it's written. That's my assumption.
Perfect, thank you. I just want to make it clear that the advisory committees for the citizens have been involved in this process as well.
Thank you, sir. Counselor Patton?
Yeah, so I have some questions and some observations of all of this. So one of the things that's on, I've heard some stuff about, there's some confusion on the flyer and stuff. On the flyer that was sent out to community, it says age requirements. Until January 1st, 2027, no person under 16 shall operate an electric-assisted bicycle or motor-assisted scooter or e-scooter within the city of Canby. And then after January 1st, 2027, rules vary depending on age and electric-assisted bicycle classification. Just so I make sure I have this in my head correctly, is the reason that is there because currently there is no real definitions for ages and stuff, and the state has now done their thing, and so now we are going to do our thing, and that's why it will become effective January 1st with ages for these things. Is that a correct understanding of it?
Partially, sir. So the state did a thing. There were already age requirements in place, and that was the 16 years of age.
Okay.
They have changed, they've moved the goal line, if you will, for electric scooters and type 1 and type 2 electric bicycles.
Okay, excellent. The next thing I want to just talk about is I've been doing some reading and stuff on this, and I just want to make sure that I have my head wrapped around this, and maybe some other folks will be able to get their head wrapped around this. So when it comes to bicycles, in Chapter 12.40.030 of our city code, it says that currently, just standard pedal bicycles are not allowed on sidewalks or restricted areas. So the fact that already bicycles aren't allowed on the sidewalks with the speeds that they go, then why would anybody think that a bicycle that can go faster, that's electric assisted, should be on the sidewalk either, is beyond me. So that's the first thing that I see no problem with, the fact that they are restricted from being on the sidewalks. It also says in there that if a bicycle is in a pedestrian area, and this is in 12.40.050, that bicycle is supposed to, or the bicycle rider is supposed to give an audible sound to the pedestrian as they pass them. I would love to see a show of hands in the community of who actually does that. I'm sure that nobody has even read this. In fact, I didn't read it until as I was sitting down listening to this whole thing tonight. So when it comes to people being all up in arms about following these things, this leads into my next portion of this. The police trying to enforce these sort of things is going to be very, very difficult. If anybody thinks, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you folks are going to park a patrol car on the logging bridge or on a sidewalk somewhere and start radar detecting people on a bicycle, then you are living in a fantasy land. We do not have the resources to be able to do that. To me, what this is all about is if some idiot wipes out a pedestrian on the sidewalk and breaks their collarbone or their clavicle or their femur or punctures their liver, now the person that's been injured has some sort of remedy based on the laws within the city to be able to say you were told that you weren't supposed to be on the sidewalk, you were an idiot and you were on it, so now I'm going to sue you for the cost of my punctured liver, right? So to me, this is what this is about. It's not about the police bringing the heavy hand of the law on kids riding their electric bicycles or their regular bicycles around. We don't have time for that. What this is it's a way to put guardrails on these things to help the community cope with what's going on. Now, when it comes to the speeds of these things, this is the other thing that drives me nuts. So you're saying these e-bikes go anywhere from 20 to 28 miles per hour, right? And these little dirt bike things here can go anywhere from 45 to 50. So, and I've heard people say, well, you know, you can get pedal bicycles to go pretty fast. Yeah, maybe if you're riding in the Tour de France and you've got a $7,000 or $27,000 carbon fiber bicycle built to like do super speeds. What most people do, and this is based on some research, for a casual bicyclist, they are traveling anywhere from 8 to 12 miles per hour. For someone who is doing a daily commute, they are traveling anywhere from 12 to 15 miles per hour. And if you are riding for fitness, then average speeds tend to be 15 to 18 miles per hour. So even me, right? Look at me. I am not riding a bicycle for fitness, right? If I was, I would not be weighing 130 pounds. So the fact that me at 130 pounds can get one of those to go faster than someone who's training for a marathon on or whatever a bicycle thing is insane. So that's why, again, I see no problem with putting these types of restrictions on this. Now, when it comes to the logging road, as it says in here, that bicycles and now e-bikes would be restricted to areas in the city that are designated restricted to those sort of things. The logging bridge is not restricted. It is not one of those areas that is listed in the ordinances that says it's restricted to bicycles, nor will it be restricted to e-bikes. But now I'm trying to get to the tail of this here. Now we're talking about it's our turn to start to put some classifications on speeds for these things. So here, I'm just going to plant this seed for folks for when we get to this part of the conversation. I think that if a casual rider is going 8 to 12 miles per hour in most of our parks, the maximum speed for a bicycle should be 8 miles per hour. And because the logging bridge is not made for commuting, and it's not really made for people who are doing endurance travel, because we hear complaints all the time about the roots and the trip hazards and stuff. Unless they're planning to do some sort of off-road thing, which there's other places to go and do that, I think for the logging bridge road, it would make sense to cap the speed at 12, no more than 15 miles per hour. So based on what I've heard from you folks, what I read in all of this, those are my thoughts, and I would love to be convinced to do something different.
Response to that yet, or noodle?
Oh, that, I appreciate the levity. I can't speak as to the civil recourse. That's a completely different section of law. And you have me at a disadvantage. I did not bring my Chapter 12 with me from the ordinances today.
You're fine.
What you stated sounds correct as far as the prohibitions of bicycles on sidewalks. So, sir.
I think there is an exception in Chapter 12 during basically the downtown area where bikes are allowed. At least my last reading of Chapter 12 indicated that there was an outlined area there.
Counselor Maldonado?
I just had a question about the helmet. Why are we limiting the helmets on age instead of speed whenever these are now obviously faster than your common day bicycle? I've been riding two wheels with motors since I was 14. I'm going to tell you, at 20 miles an hour, skin and bone starts to peel away pretty darn easily. Why are we limiting just based on age?
That's a fantastic question. Looking at the history of bicycle helmet requirements, putting it at 16 years of age and not having a requirement for adults to wear helmets was kind of an outline for that. We saw it as taking it even a step further for the safety of our community to bring that all the way up to 17 years of age. So we didn't feel the need to surpass the state statute by a greater degree, moving from the juvenile category to the adult category. But I feel like that's something we could definitely visit in the future if we start seeing some of these injuries of adults that could have been prevented from wearing headgear.
I would definitely like to visit something like that, because anything above 10 to 15 miles an hour, skin just peels away with the asphalt. And I've seen it firsthand, someone falling without a helmet on. There's a lot of facial injury.
Agreed.
Yes, Counselor Stearns.
Is there a reason why we're passing an ordinance that will take effect in August or maybe September that has a built-in 3-month change to the ordinance? I think it would make more sense to have it, the 2017 or 27 rules be effective immediately, since they're less restrictive than the 2026 rules. It seems like really say there will be more restrictions for 3 months and then less restrictions after on the 4th month of this ordinance. I'm just referring to the fact that no one can do, under 16 can do it, like right now if we pass it, but they'll pop down to 14, January 1st.
I could speak to that, actually.
Yeah.
Sir?
Oh, okay. He's going to say what I was going to say. Go ahead.
The state statute dictates that. We can't tell someone to do something that the state says is illegal. So essentially, a 14-year-old cannot ride an e-scooter until January 1st of 2027. So we can't.
So that's not something new.
Yes. House Bill 4007 passed this last legislative session. So that's why it's not until January that it changes.
Okay, because it seems like very confusing to say, here's the rules for 3 months, count the 3 and then.
Yeah, that's the way the
changes.
state law is right now, though.
Okay. Okay, I guess that explains that.
And to answer your other point, if we actually pass this tonight, it's effective tomorrow because of the E-clause.
Why not? But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I was saying why short? Why, that's kind of confusing.
Because the state of Oregon, that's why.
The only piece I would say, again, and maybe if you could dive a little bit deeper into this, Captain, is the community education piece of it. Because this is we'll say it's nuanced for sure, but, our bike rodeo has been completed for the year. So our next perhaps opportunity is things like maybe the fair or when school starts. What's that discussion looking like here before, again, changes go into effect?
Yeah, so we would be using all public forums available to us immediately to put the information out. We wouldn't have the luxury of having the school starting, obviously, right away, but we still have the public postings within the library through all electronic sources that we have within the city, the police department individually, of course, as well as, again, as soon as school starts, being able to use the resources available to school resource officers to push that information out to parents through all of those channels as quickly as we're able, in addition to just education throughout the community. We'll provide the entirety of the ordinance for the consumption of the public, as well as cheat sheets as best we can to make things a little more simple for people that have a TikTok attention span. We still want to try to get the information to everybody as quick as we can, but we also want to provide the totality of information so they can dive into it as much as they would like to. Yes, unfortunately, the bike rodeo is already gone, but the Clackamas County Fair is upon us, and that's a great opportunity to push information out as well. So we'll be using all resources available to us to get the information out. It's definitely not something we're going to hide because we want to see that safety component put into place.
Perfect. I do want to get into, we do have a number of public comment pieces that I really want to get to. Yeah, please.
I'm sorry if this is repetitive, but I want to make it clear because I've had lots of people, discussion about it. So if this ordinance didn't pass at all, let's just say we forgot about it, currently somebody on a e-scooter riding down the street that's 14 years old is breaking the law whether we do anything or not. That was my understanding of what you're saying, but I want to make sure that understanding's clear. So right now, we are not saying, because I think what I'm hearing people say is that, oh my goodness, now my child who's 13 years old is now breaking the law. But what you're saying is that they have always been breaking the law.
Correct.
And we're just basically mirroring that. So I just want to make sure that's clear, that we're not deliberately going to people and saying, well, now we don't like your kid anymore because he's doing it. So I'm just making sure that's clear, that currently today, without this ordinance passing, a 13-year-old riding an e-scooter on the road is breaking the law.
Correct.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilor Patton?
I do have one clarification. Clearly, I'm living in a fantasy land. I am not 130 pounds. I'm 230 pounds.
I was not going to.
Shame on me. I probably haven't been 130 pounds since I was a teenager, and I still wouldn't have been able to get that fast on a pedal bicycle.
I think we were just allowing that to happen.
No,
I was going to let you get away with that.
I'm not going to be one of them
None of
shady
us were gonna call you out
politicians.
on that.
You got to call me out on these things, people. Keep me honest.
I can't see below the chin, so I don't know what's going on.
As you're sitting there eating your Crunch Bar.
There's a reason we sit down up here.
I think we digress now, sir.
Yes.
We did. So, yeah, if you guys, we'll open it up to public comment, and if there's things after comment, then I definitely want to make sure we get that addressed as best we can.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
So, public comment on the first card I have is Heather Dorn.
See you again. Mayor Hodson, President Hensley, councilors, thank you for having me. My name is Heather Dorn, and I am a mother of 3 active children. And my one question I want to ask you guys right now is, who of you guys have been on an e-bike? So I feel like we are discussing a city ordinance that none of you guys have any experience on. I don't even know if our police officers have really been on an e-bike as well to understand how they move, what they feel like. But before I get started sharing my fun facts, I wanted to let you guys know, did you know that the city of Portland started an e-bike rebate program this year for $1,600 to $8,500? And I can go on Amazon right now and I can find a bike that goes whatever any of those are for about $900 right now. So I just feel like this is an important discussion that we have because obviously the law is not keeping up with technology. So I don't think any of this is going away. I'm not here to defend anyone or any children, although I want you guys to know that I do have one kid that is a little sad if things do get changed. When my son, or I have a son that is nearing 21, and when he was 11, he had a electric skateboard that had like a remote control. Scarier than stink, let me tell you. We were super grateful when the e-scooters came out. When he was 13, we got him an e-scooter. If you guys have ever ridden an e-scooter, they are not forgiving over potholes. I think those things are absolutely so dangerous. And then when my dad was 65, he came to us and was like, I got an e-bike. And so my dad is actually the one about 9 years ago that introduced us to e-bikes. And we actually still have his original e-bike in our garage, and my family uses it all the time. So my interesting fact that I want to tell you guys, and I'm so grateful that you guys have these pictures, is I want to let you guys know that most of the e-bikes, the 1, 2, and the 3, they actually have a throttle on it. I wish my husband was here today so that I could throw him under the bus because he just had knee surgery last week. He's never pedaled. He sits there like they're pegs, and he does the throttle, and he'll look over at me and say, why are you working so hard? So it's really hard for me to understand the different classifications between pegs and pedals when my husband uses his pedals as pegs. I also want to let you guys know the interesting facts. Any of these bikes, 1, 2, or 3, they can be modified. So you can make them go faster than what it is stated. So the fact of like the focus on the classes is not making any sense to me. So I just feel like I want you guys to concentrate more on rider safety rather than on classification. Thank you so much for like discussing the speed limits. I think if the speed limit is 25, then just because I drive a Ferrari doesn't mean that doesn't go to me. It should go to all bicyclists, I think. So that's what I wanted to say, is I feel like if we could just have the focus be on rider safety rather than classification. That's what I wanted to say today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Brown. And then after Miss Brown, it'll be Luke Bergen.
Mayor Hudson and council.
Good evening.
I'm Sarah Brown. I live near the logging trail, and I walk daily. And I've been coming more increasingly concerned about the number of e-bikes and scooters on the trail, especially the speed they're traveling, often not indicating they're approaching me from the rear, and not that they're even approaching, and then they're traveling. Many of them are traveling at high speeds. And it's very scary at times to have this happening in a place that I've enjoyed. We've lived in our wonderful neighborhood for about 13 years now, and the trail has always been, it is such a gift to have that trail nearby. And I understand that there's bikers, e-bikers. I understand that our community's grown, and so I understand that there's other people, there's more people now, but I love my walking. I love that area. It's just a blessing to have that, and it's been changed. It's changed, and I understand change, but I would appreciate courtesy as well. Not many bikers or e-bikers let me know, or let any, I mean, I have walking buddies on the trail. They rarely will let you know they're coming. And that is the thing. I can usually hear them, but there's times where it's so startling, and it's so, it just takes the joy out of it. It really does. And I was going to say, they just don't, and they don't slow down. If they would let me know they're coming, slow down and have that courtesy, it would be much appreciated. by myself and by a lot of my neighborhood friends who, we love the trail, we enjoy the trail. But it's changing, and I do, like I said, I do expect that. But, and I was going to say, even scarier than coming up behind you, and it can be very startling, although many times I hear them, but then I'm just like, ugh. Yeah, I've had someone pass on my right side, and I had just been like moving over to the side and no indication they're coming, and all of a sudden they're coming on my right side, and it's like, that was close. Very scary. And then I've also had them, I've lost my place. Scarier even is seeing e-bikes and e-scooters on my sidewalk in front of my house going at high speeds. My husband was nearly hit one day because you can't see them coming to the right of our house, and it's just, and so that is, they're not, like you pointed out, they're not supposed to be on the sidewalk. And so that's another thing that's been going on in our neighborhood. And it concerns me for my safety and the safety of my whole community and the families that use the trail. There's so many people. It's such a wonderful community, and I just want it to be safe.
For sure.
And be able to enjoy it. We're very blessed to have that trail and to be living in Canby.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate your input. Just, again, just going forward, please remember, get as close as you can to the mic, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes, please. Mr. Burgon, and then Mr., is that Brian Hayes? Well, after that.
Oh, Master Burgon.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Mayor Hudson, President Hensley, Councilman. I am 12 years old. I have owned an e-bike for almost a year now. I've stopped riding, that was months ago, but just because I've heard so much drama about you can't do this, you can't ride, I've just never been sure of where I can ride or if I even can. And so I just wanted to come here to clear it up. Like, I'm going into 7th grade at Baker Prairie. I live super close to the school, but I just didn't know if I can ride my e-bike to Baker Prairie or not. But yeah, I feel like the laws are changing so fast, and it's just not making sense about what you can and can't do. So I really think that we should focus on making everyone be able to understand and some extra education about it and just stuff like that. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Haynes, and then Mr. Trent Dorn.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Brian.
I just want to
Hey, Henry.
say I'm excited that there's so many young boys here that are involved in something that the city is deciding. I mean, that's kind of neat. My son Henry here has a little something that he wants to say. He has it on his phone.
I think he wants you to say it.
You're reading a little thing. Well, maybe he will in a second. But anyway, I mean, it sounds like this is a really easy thing, and you guys will get it all cleared up, and you'll make everybody happy, and all the sides will. No, I don't know what the answer is. There's good points on both sides, you know, and somehow there has to be something where everybody can have a little bit of enjoyment in this town. When I was a kid, I had a Honda XR80, and me and my friends rode around all over the place. They were loud, and all the neighbors hated it. And now they're all quiet, and then they can't hear them. So.
And they hate it.
So I don't know. I don't know what to do. They love working on them just as much as they like riding them. They like hanging out together. And it was a big part of my childhood. I just hope there's a way that they could have something that they can do with it. You don't want to read your thing? Okay. He had a nice little thing. It was very respectful.
Well, he can definitely make sure that it can get emailed in to us and it'll get forwarded out to us. and
Have your
we'll-
dad email it to us.
Yeah.
But I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
What if, like, everybody took a vote about these?
That is a good question.
Well,
Can't change the state law, though.
yeah, unfortunately, there's state law that we're trying to make sure we work around and work with. So unfortunately, that's out of our local hands to do that, unfortunately.
Right to
But,
your legislator.
Counselor Patton?
So as an educational part of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know if this has really ever happened, oftentimes if the city council makes a decision that the community does not like, what they can do is they can go through a petition process. And so what they would do is they would talk to our city recorder, correct? And then get some information about saying, hey, I and some of my friends don't like this particular rule that the city council has created. And so I'm going to go around and get X number of signatures, 50, 100, however many signatures it takes. And then if you get all those signatures and give them to the Clackamas County Elections Office, and they verify that all those people that signed the petition live in Canby and are registered voters, then that is put on the ballot. And that's when everybody in the city gets a chance to weigh in on it and say, yes, city council, we agree with what you decided on, or no, city council, we disagree, and we're saying that we are essentially nullifying the decision that you made. So that is how something like that would work. Now, in the case of this, because we are being told by the state that we have to do these sort of things, and then we're adding some restrictions onto it, then you would have to do a similar process to the state, which I can assure you is very difficult. But that is essentially how you would go about sort of pushing back on things like that.
And like Happy Valley, like they just changed the rule and just gave up on them. Like, what if we did that?
Anything's possible.
Or what if we took like a driving test?
That's probably a very good idea. I would support that. Let's take a driving test.
Very good suggestion, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. Thank you guys for, I mean, you're all trying to figure this out and make it work for everybody, and everybody was a kid at one point.
Yeah.
So, there we go again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Haynes does make a good point. I don't think I've ever seen this many young people in the chamber at one time.
Mr. Dorn.
Thank you, city councilors. My name is Trent Dorn. I love to fish, mountain bike, skate, and skate at the skate park, and I do motocross. I moved to Canby a year and a half ago, and I had no friends. I played a lot of video games, and I tried football, but I wasn't really good at it, and I didn't really like it. 10 months ago, I sold my Xbox, and I bought an e-bike. I have met so many friends around Canby. I met one of my best friends on a street corner over by Fred Meyer's. I love that I don't have to wait for my parents to take me to places to meet up with friends. I always get to hang out with friends, and we always either working on our bikes or riding them. I never thought that we would be harmful or annoying when we ride to pedestrians. I've always wanted there to be a way for us to legalize our bikes, like a driving test, or something like that. And I feel like instead of doing e-bike classes, it should be a test. If you're not a good enough rider, maybe you shouldn't ride. But if you're a safe rider, then you can ride. And that's it.
Okay. Good ideas.
Trent, thank you very much. Appreciate the comment, sir.
Oh, and another thing is I have an e-bike and a gas bike, but when I was at the Albany motocross track like 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to bring my e-bike like that since I can't ride it around anymore, and I looked on their website, and these are like called dirt bikes, but they're not allowed on the dirt bike track.
They don't have suspension.
They're not like,
Or
so, like,
power.
they have to be like bigger than this, or like more power and stuff.
Okay, good to know.
Good to know.
So they kind of are like, they're not real dirt bike, they're not city bike, like, kind of like a no man's bike.
A no man's bike.
Okay,
All right. Thank you, young man.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chief Gonzalez and Captain Murphy, you want to come back up? But it's all that I have in, oh, I'm sorry, I've got online Shayla Knight.
Mr. Mayor, so far I've been keeping watch. I haven't seen that person show up on Zoom. So.
Okay. Well, if they do, give me a holler and
Will do.
get them in. Did you want to address the council?
I have a question, but I did fill out a card. I wasn't sure if I would be allowed.
If you could fill out a card, I'll give you that time to do that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Over there too.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I also do the same? Okay.
Yes, you can.
Mayor, can I make one comment?
Not yet. Thank you, though. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for asking. Not yet.
No, not yet.
You're in the queue.
I know.
See, you just asked a question. There you go. Good.
You've been writing it?
No, I'm just,
You should go. Can I also do one?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So now is the time. If you want to fill out a card, they're in the back.
I don't think we're.
Go ahead and get her done.
Yep, just give them the city recorder there. Thank you. Maya, if you want to pass that one over, we'll just continue it.
She can come, she's the first one, so.
Well, you can come back up here to the table.
You're getting your steps in tonight.
Again, just make sure to speak into the
My wife
microphone
said
and,
it's time to stand anyways.
try to keep your comments to as close to 3 minutes as you can. So, Ms. Broyles, what say you?
I actually wasn't planning on speaking, but you guys brought up some good points, and so I kind of wanted to just counter that. So I appreciate you guys letting me speak. I did not know that the ordinance was so in line with the state of Oregon, so that was great to know. I think that would be something really good to bring forth to the community and understanding the ordinance. But that leads me to the question of what's the point of the ordinance if it's already the state law? I did hear that there were some differences, but I didn't hear anything discussed of what the differences were. So I think that's also another good discussion point.
The helmet age was one thing I caught.
And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is why not wait until January? Spend some time, get some more community feedback, put together what the community outreach might look like, training, that kind of stuff, and then roll it out in January when everything's in line with the state. That's all I had.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah. Miss Jennifer Hosley.
Hi, Council. My name's Jennifer Hosley. Thank you for letting me speak. I just found out about this, so I don't have anything very well prepared, but I just wanted to say I have kids who, similar to some of the kids that came up and spoke, have just been able to make friends, do a lot of social activities that they wouldn't otherwise get to do. And so some alternative ideas that I thought, similar to what some other people have said, solutions that are actionable, like a free safety class that kids can take and get a certificate, kind of like passing a driver's test, but maybe for kids. That's geared towards, the younger ones that participate and use a lot of these bikes. And then a park or a path with designated space for e-bike transportation and scooters as well, which it sounds like the logging trail kind of is, kind of isn't. I liked the idea of some regulations with speed and safety. I also think that my experience on the logging trail, riding with my kids and as a pedestrian, I've had a lot of great experience with kids who, while they do come up a little bit faster than a pedal bike, like some of them have bells, some of them speak loud enough. And while it's fast and can be kind of startling, for the most part, they're doing a great job communicating that they're coming up. And they're kids, they're still learning, a lot of them, how to do that appropriately. So it's not always perfect, but they're learning and they're doing it and they're trying it, which is great. Also, the safety piece of it, injury data for our specific community, I saw it was posted for the state, some countrywide statistics, but nothing for our specific community as far as injuries. And if safety is a concern, also the safety, the mental health aspect of it for getting the kids outside and socializing and being in the outdoors and being active. Also, I think that our police department does a great job creating good relationships with the youth in our community. And I think that going down the path where you can get your bike confiscated or you can get a very serious $500 ticket, that's going to scare a lot of kids. It's not going to necessarily always have a positive impact. It's going to make them scared. It's going to make them make not as safe decisions sometimes. And then additionally, I think that's mainly all I had. So thank you.
Thanks. Danielle Mendez.
All right.
Good evening.
Okay, this is my first time talking in public ever, so I'm new to this. I am not prepared whatsoever, but I would urge you guys to pause your vote because I think that this is a much bigger picture here, and I think it's actually a really exciting time. I think that Canby is a very unique community. We're new to it, but I don't think that we can correlate other communities like Westland, Happy Valley, all the other areas around us. I think they're very different. I think Canby has a very unique landscape and potential areas that we could actually look to creating a safe space for our kids to utilize these things, these types of bikes. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think we have to be fair to our kids. And for example, the police force, they're utilizing technology. I think we have a new text message system where you can alert the police to potential tips for helping them. And so it seems unfair to think that our kids aren't going to be utilizing new technology and new things in their youth and in, whatever, their bikes, scooters. And yet us as adults and in our own communities, we're utilizing that technology. So I think we have to have that same respect. And I think it also goes back to how amazing is it to see that we have so many youth that are here. I think that shows that we have passionate kids who are so excited about this. And it's not harmful in itself, but it is if you are not properly educated. So I do think that we need to pause, and I think we need to take that time and say, okay, how can we educate versus putting a rule on something that seems very polarizing, and we know that that's not what we want to do. I think when we are polarizing a community and making it seem, especially to our youth, we're almost kind of singling out a certain group of kids that may like to do something. I think that mentally is going to impact them more than we think it will, especially because they're so passionate about this. Another thing is that my kids personally don't have phones. They don't have social media. And in life, there are risks. And as a parent, you have to take certain risks on how you parent your children. So when you give up a certain tool like social media and phones, your kids are going to look elsewhere to do things. They're going to want to be outside and they're going to want to use certain things. And we have to look at mental health and also know that there's really great risks to social media and our kids being inside as well. There's TikTok challenges that kill children. There's mental health and suicide. We can't see those things, but we're not talking about that. And that's something that is very concerning. And I think we also need to bring those statistics in as well. If we're going to bring statistics of e-bikes and how kids can get hurt, we also need to bring in statistics of social media and phones and how that is impacting our youth silently. We're just not seeing that. And we don't have cuts and bruises from bikes, but there are mental health challenges that kids have from just being stuck inside and not doing anything. So this is a much bigger picture, I think, and I just would urge everybody to pause on it and just take a little more time, because come January, we already have something that is implementing already.
Sure.
And it is very confusing. So that's my piece.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I have a question for Captain Murphy again.
I'm going to bring them back up. Thank you. Chief Gonzalez and Captain Murphy, if you'll come back up. Sounds like we got a couple of concerns and things we need to make sure we address. Council President Hensley, did you want to start?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The parents and kiddos that have come here made some very good points, and there's some confusion on what our ordinance does versus the state law that's already in effect and what the January change is. So I'm wondering if you could just briefly go over that again. What is the difference between the ORS and our ordinance? And because we're hearing a lot about classification and ages, and there's a lot of young people here who are disappointed, and I understand that, but that's kind of out of our hands. So I'd like you to kind of go over that again, and as well as the January piece, because as it is, it's just they're actually going to lower that age from 16 to 14. So they're already being illegal. So if you just kind of touch on that again, and because I came in here wanting to pause, but it looks like there's not a lot to pause on. So the main thing is what are we actually changing with our ordinance? So
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. So the definitions that are going to be changed as far as Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3, those are the changes that are going to be taking place in January as far as the ages of the riders. So if I can address the community. So the ages that are prohibited from riding at this point, as far as 16 and under and then 14 and under later on, are not dictated by the ordinance. That's dictated by the state already. That's not something we can change. That's something that the legislature has to change. And you guys being good community members can reach out to legislature. You guys can affect change. If you disagree with it, go about that. And I encourage it, please. I think that's very valid. If we want to see younger people on these devices, let's change the law. I don't disagree with that at all. I get paid the same either way. My goal is just the safety. And sorry, I just want to real quick address what you said, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is not something that we want to extinguish a flame that young kids have. I want to see kids outside playing. I want to see kids engaged in the community and doing things and staying active. I hate video game consoles because they turn kids into cloistered people who are stuck in a dark room playing video games all day. I don't want to see that. That being said, I want to see people out being safe. And again, the age requirements are not something that we can change. That's already dictated by the state. As Councilor Hensley pointed out, what we covered mostly tonight was the boring, the mundane stuff as far as classifications. On the first reading, we did go over the safety regulations and rules. And so I'll go over that portion now. So aside from the definitions and the changes that are coming up, the ordinance would be regulating general operations. So forgive me my monotone reading voice, but I'm just going to go through line by line so everybody here can hear it if that's acceptable.
That's fine. Perfect.
Okay. General operating regulations. A person shall not operate an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter, e-scooter, electric personal assistive mobility device while carrying more than one person on the device than the number that it was designed for, on a sidewalk or other public properties designated for pedestrian use. So if there's purely a pedestrian area, we cannot operate the bicycle on it. A person may operate an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter or e-scooter, or electric personal-assisted mobility device in city-owned parks. In addition to this chapter, so it's saying that they can. It's not a prohibition. Such operations shall be subject to additional regulation applicable to each city-owned park. So in other words, the parks can have their own flavor and their own rules, but they're encouraged to have e-bikes within those locations. Additional regulations shall establish the maximum speed of operation, location of operation within the park, and shall identify the specific vehicles and, if applicable, class of vehicles that may be operated in the park. The city administrator shall have authority to establish these regulations. These regulations shall be posted at each city park. So the age restrictions, I think we've already beat that horse. That's covered under Section C as far as the changing of legislature. D, all minors must wear protective headgear of a type approved under state law while operating an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter or e-scooter, or electric personal-assisted mobility device on a highway or other premises open to the public.
Captain Murphy?
Yes, sir.
On that particular one, is that a standard issued bike helmet? Does that meet that requirement?
Yes, sir. So some helmets sold will denote that they are for decoration only, or I forget the term, but they don't meet NHTSA standards, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration standards. So they will note on that if it does not.
Okay.
But yes, most bicycle helmets that are sold at our retailers are going to be appropriate.
Okay.
This requirement does not apply when wearing protective headgear would violate a religious belief or practice of the person. A person shall not operate an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter or e-scooter, or electric personal-assisted mobility device on any portion of the highway that is not a bicycle lane or a bicycle path, when a bicycle lane or a bicycle path is adjacent or near to the roadway. Notwithstanding Section D above, a person may operate an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter or e-scooter, or electric personal-assisted mobility device, that is just a tongue twister that keeps coming, on a highway for any purpose listed below, as long as the person then immediately returns to or enters a bicycle path, lane or path, A person must comply with all regulations applicable to motor vehicles when operating an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter or e-scooter, or electric personal assisted mobility device on a highway under this section. Overtaking and passing another bicycle, a vehicle, or a pedestrian that is the bicycle lane, that is in the bicycle lane or path because the passage cannot safely be made in the lane or path. Preparing to execute a left turn at an intersection or into a private roadway or driveway, avoiding debris or other hazardous conditions, preparing to execute a right turn where a right turn is authorized, continuing straight at an intersection where the bicycle lane or path is to the right or the lane from which the motor vehicle must turn right. And then finally, for the Section G, a person shall not operate an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter, or e-scooter, or electric personal-assisted mobility device, or overtake or pass another person without providing an audible warning on the right, unless overtaking or passing the other person on the left would be unsafe due to debris, road conditions, or some other similar obstacle.
Follow up real quick. Captain Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
Just because there's a lot of comments in the socials, just want to reiterate, I want to hear your words. Does this include Grandpa on his motor scooter, his little, it's an ADA thing, so that's not included in this, correct? Because there's a lot of
That is
people going,
correct.
so Granny on her little rascal is going to get in trouble? That's not the case, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
There is one more section, and that is the reckless or careless operation. So this is the following section. A person shall not operate an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter, or e-scooter, electric personal assisted mobility device, or vehicle manufactured for off-road use in a careless or reckless manner. A careless or reckless manner includes but is not limited to. I shuffled my pages, forgive me. There we are. Stunt riding, such as wheelies, riding on handlebars, jumping, trick riding, or similar conduct. So keep in mind, this is applicable to roadways and premises open to the public. Moving between the bicycle lane, bicycle path, roadway, or other sidewalk quickly, unpredictably, or without providing a visual or audible signal. Using a mobile device or wearing devices that hinder the ability to hear road noises, such as earbuds, earphones, headphones, or headsets in both ears. Attempting to elude law enforcement or community service officers. Operating an electric-assisted bicycle, motor-assisted scooter or e-scooter, electric personal assisted mobility device, or vehicle manufactured for off-road use while under the influence of intoxicants, or similar conduct that endangers or likely endanger any person or property. And then finally, no person shall operate a vehicle manufactured for off-road use on any highway, public street, sidewalk, bicycle lane, pathway, trail, boardwalk, park, or other public property within the city.
So Captain Murphy, this is what's been reflected in the state statute.
These are the behaviors which we are trying to address within the city of Canby.
Yeah, like everything you just read, that's basically state said, here's what the law is, and so everything that you've just read is what we're trying to meet within that.
No, sir.
Okay.
Some of those behaviors are already dictated under state law. However, some changes were made for the city ordinance, which the community felt was appropriate for the city of itself.
Okay. Does this ban any of these bikes in our community?
So the electric motorcycles are already prohibited under state statute. It further prohibits that.
Okay, so does this prohibit, I'm going to use young Mr. Dorn here, does this prevent him from riding his electric bike, his class 1, 2, or 3?
As long as he's of age, there's no prohibition about riding the bike. It's just the behaviors on the bike.
Okay, so in terms of the difference between now and January, can you address that? Why not wait till January?
We certainly can if it pleases the council. However, the reason that we asked for the immediate adoption was the statistics on injury. And I agree, there are a myriad of reasons how kids can be injured. Trauma through social media alone is catastrophic, and a completely different topic that I don't want to get into today. But yes, there's a number of ways. But there's only so many ways which the police department and through the assistance of the council can immediately help. And that's this one topic that we're addressing. But the other ones are 100% valid and need to be addressed as well. I don't disagree with you on that. But this was the request made upon us to create the ordinance which we could use to then keep our community safer. And that's why we were asking the council tonight to approve the ordinance.
Okay. Are there any, did we touch upon everything kind of that was brought up? Is there any other? Did you have a clarifying question, Councilor Patton, or no?
No, I want
Okay.
to put a tail on this.
I do as well, but it is not, we have a lot of comment tonight.
I
wanna make sure
understand.
that we're
And I'm
going
prepared
through
to
that.
address those comments
So-
and some thoughts when we get ready to do that.
Okay. Councilor Stearns, did you have a clarifying question from the public comment?
I'm still not sure. Okay, so if this didn't pass, what tools would you not have that would be different if it did pass. So it sounds like a lot of it is restating the state law. So you already have those tools in your tool chest as the police department. So anybody here who violates the state law, that's a tool that already exists. But I'm not clear what additional tools this ordinance brings to the police that they wouldn't have if it didn't pass. And that's kind of where as the conversation is proceeding, you keep saying state law already says this, state law already says this. If that's the case, then what is the additional tool that the city gets from this passage that it wouldn't have if it didn't pass?
Yes, sir. So the behavior within our parks, including the logging road, is a very large one.
Okay, so the parks section.
The parks is an enormous portion of it. And another portion of it is accountability then brought on to the parents.
Okay.
So obviously, once we turn 18, we're responsible for our own actions legally. When we're under 18 years of age, the ordinance could then put responsibility on the parents. If it came to the point where education wasn't working and there was a requirement for a citation, parents could be cited. I don't believe there's any provisions in here about seizing the electric motorcycles solely, so I don't think that's any portion of what we're looking for, but it does put accountability to the parents. If the child's behavior isn't changing, then a parent could be cited under the ordinance.
Okay, but current state law doesn't have that provision, is that what?
So I believe it's up to the age of 14.
Okay.
So we have a large gap where we wouldn't be able to cite a parent from the age of 14 to 17.
Oh, okay, so basically, one of the changes, one of the tools you're getting is the ability to cite a parent for say a 15-year-old's behavior.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, that's clear.
Sorry, one last thing. I
No,
apologize.
we just hold on a second. We are now at 8, we are now at 9 o'clock. Technically, we need to.
I understand that.
We need to extend the meeting.
I understand that. Can we finish this section before we do that, please?
According to the rules, this meeting is now adjourned.
I move we extend the meeting to 9:30.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have rules for a reason.
I understand that, Counselor Patton, but we're in the middle of dialogue and a topic. I get that it's 9 o'clock. It's not, to me, it's not an appropriate piece to interrupt this line of questioning and dialogue for us to get to a resolution.
You were entitled to your opinion on that.
Well, and I'm taking my opinion, so please continue.
Yes, sir. And Councilor Stern, sorry, the last point I wanted to make was the helmet requirements, extending the requirements to the age of 17 as well. That's beyond the state statutory requirements.
Okay, so from what I understand, the three additional tools that Canby Police and the City of Canby would have if this were to pass that don't already exist is the ability to transfer citations of 15, 16, and 17-year-olds to the parents. That's one of the things. The second thing is the requirement of the helmet up to age 17. And the third thing that is the ability to regulate the e-bikes within the public parks, like the logging trail, according to speed limits and things. Okay, so I just want to make sure, and that's that. Thank you very much, because that clarifies in my mind what the
Understandable.
the other things like riding right now. Unfortunately, it sounds like it's already illegal whether we do anything or not, as far as a 13-year-old riding an e-bike.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Councilor Stearns and Captain Murphy, I just jump in real quick as well. This is Chad Jacobs from the City Attorney's Office. Captain Murphy can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe also some of the sort of reckless riding provisions are sort of more tailored for Canby as opposed to the more general state laws. So there's a fourth area that's also included. And I also just want to sort of explain, and this may be a little technical, but the reason that we have a lot of these other provisions that mirror state law and the local ordinance is to round out the ordinance. Because if we just say something like, you can't recklessly ride an e-bike without defining what an e-bike is, no one really knows what that means, and the law is unenforceable. So we include definitions of things like e-bikes that mirror state law just to sort of round out the ordinance so we can actually enforce it. Otherwise, it would be unconstitutionally vague. And so that's why we have some of that and why it repeats some of what we have in state law. And I just think that's important for the public to know because there's some questions about like, well, if it's already in state law, why are we putting it here? And a lot of that's just sort of the technical legal drafting aspects of being able to actually actually enforce the law.
Oh, thank you, appreciate that explanation. So, okay, so thanks to that, because that makes it clear what additional thing we're adding on to the law that didn't already exist.
Any other questions to clarify public comment at all?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Or if not, or questions, I'll take a motion or whatnot. Councilor Patton?
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight to talk about this. It is greatly appreciated. But I think it's only fair to let folks out there know that one of the reasons why we've come to this is because for months now, we have been getting complaints from members of the community saying that they need something to regulate, that the city needs something to regulate these. And so that is why we are where we're at today. This isn't something that we've just cooked up. This was born out of complaints from the community. Now, there's always two sides to every coin. I completely understand that. To the point of, should we pause this, look at it later, what I will say to you is this. My opinion is no, and this is the reason why. It's because we have to start somewhere. We have to put a flag in the ground and say, here's where we are at, and now we need to move forward from here. And I will give you some examples of where the city pausing things and we're still not dealt with them. For instance, the street maintenance fee, that has not been updated for almost 15 years. Our Parks Board has been something that's been going on for 20-some years, and the city keeps kicking that can down the road. The city charter updates. The charter hasn't been updated since the 1980s. We've kept kicking that down the road. The comprehensive plan was 10 years overdue. So this is what comes of not starting somewhere and then going from that point. So that is why I think we need to at least do something. And as far as the back and forth of the community, if we take your comments today and nothing is done, then I guarantee you at the next meeting, there will be a bunch of people in here that want to see this passed that are going to countermand you. And back and forth it will go, similar to the dog park. So, what I would like to know is by a straw poll vote, who on the dais right now would consider passing this ordinance as it is? Am I allowed to ask that question?
I think you need to make an official motion.
Well,
Make a motion, then we'll talk about it.
I will say that if this does not pass tonight, and if it does, I'm hoping that all the folks who spoke tonight and all of you in the community that want to talk about this more, put your name and address and contact information on a paper, because we will need you to come in and be part of the conversation of how to make this better. Whether it's moving forward with the pedal park that we've talked about doing and making that an area where e-bikes are more usable, whether there are certain hours of operation for e-bikes within the city, particular areas that are designated for e-bikes. These are all things that we can have a conversation about, but it is going to take you folks coming in and interacting with us to get these things sorted out. You can't just come here and say, this is what we want, and then not show back up again, okay? So with that, Mr. Mayor, I move to consider ordinance number 1675, an ordinance of the City of Canby, Oregon, amending Title 10 of the Canby Municipal Code to add Chapter 10.13, regulating the operation of electric-assisted bicycles, motor-assisted scooters or e-scooters, electric personal assistive mobility devices, and vehicles manufactured for off-road use, and declaring an emergency upon second reading with a roll call vote.
Second.
So the motion's been made by Councilor Patton and seconded by Councilor Davis to approve ordinance number 1675, an ordinance of the City of Canby, Oregon, amending Title 10 of the Canby Municipal Code to add Chapter 10.13, regulating the operation of electric-assisted bicycles, motor-assisted scooters or e-scooters, electric personal assistive mobility devices, and vehicles manufactured for off-road use, and declaring an emergency. Any discussion or comment?
My comment would be a thank you to everybody that came out. I know it was all over the social media as an invitation to come in and share your thoughts, and you did that. I'm glad that everyone was able to hear the clarifications between what was already Oregon statute and that we're not trying to dictate this kind of bikes or the ages of the bikes, but just practices to keep everybody safe. So thank you for coming and participating, especially to the young people, because I'm sure you can find a better way to spend a Wednesday night on a summer night. So thank you all.
Councilor Waterman.
Thank you. I have kind of two sides to this. The first one is, I think from the city side, I think we could probably do a little better job of being more getting ahead of something like this. So as we've said, we've been talking about this for several in the Bike and Ped Committee, which is a civic citizen committee that is open to the public, and anybody can show up to the Bike and Ped Committee and provide feedback. The agendas are posted every month on what the Bike and Ped Committee and the traffic safety committees are talking about. So maybe if there is something that might be very, something like this, a post from the city saying, hey, just let you know the Bike and Ped Committee may be discussing this, it's on the agenda, so that people can be more informed ahead of time. And part of that, when we post something like this that came out tonight, this last week, it's great everybody showed up, and I'm all about civic engagement. I love people showing up. But from the city side, also providing some historical detail, not just here's an ordinance and this is the first time we're talking about it, when there is historical, we had meetings and citizen committees have talked about it, at least providing some historical context. Go look at these meetings, this is where it was discussed, so that people can get some information ahead of time instead of just what's being going around on social media. And then from the citizens, I know it's hard every day, we're doing our thing and, grinding day in and day out, but sometimes, it takes just being a little more aware of what's going on in our citizen, committees. That's the citizen input to the city council to help inform us of what our community needs. And so they're volunteering to me to do that, and then kind of just keeping an eye, as well as the city helping you guys know what's going on, to be a little more informed and know ahead of time instead of being caught off guard. I know we can't do it all the time, but those mechanisms are in place to try to help everybody be involved and be informed. So I think from both sides, we could do a little better job on that. That's all I got on it. Thank you.
Councilor Waterman, thank you. Councilor Stearns.
Since this is the kind of the discussion part of it, thank you for answering my questions. The one thing which I've been informed is not part of this discussion, unfortunately, because of the age limits are dictated by the state and not by the city ordinance. I think that's a kind of a sad thing. And I'm wondering if maybe legal counsel or somebody could think of, is there a way that we can carve, because I think people should be riding bikes and stuff before age 14, as far as that goes, and there'd be a way of doing it, but the education is an important component. So I just want to float that up. There's a way to say that people can get across town, because the problem is kids can't. If you don't have a legal way to do something, people are going to just do it illegally, and that's unfortunately something I've seen over and over again, is if you put a complete stop and say, no, thou shalt not, and there's no way you can do it, then people are either going to ignore and run the risk of doing it, because there's still a need to travel across town. So I would just put it as something to explore, a way to legally allow some of this to happen even. But I am in favor of having rules around these e-bikes so that they're safe. The other thing is, if we could, or maybe something for a future modification of the ordinance, expressly put in something like, people, if they receive a citation, that perhaps the first or something citation could be undone through the bike equivalent of driver's school or whatever that they're allowed for because their goal would be safety and not necessarily to bankrupt somebody because something their kids did. So I want maybe float around that idea to put in there because I love to see community service or something or education as opposed to severe money fine for people that may not be able to afford it. So that's the second thing I was looking at. But as far as what this law changes from what they had before, I think I am in favor of those 3 changes or 4 changes as it's happened. Even though I'm not necessarily in favor of these age restrictions, but apparently even if we voted no or voted to pause, those age restrictions don't change at all. So.
Okay. My comment will be to the parents and the kids that are here, thank you for coming and being engaged and involved. It is great to see, and I really do appreciate it tremendously. As a kid, my thing was dirt bikes and skateboards, and so dirt bikes kind of the pedal kind, so I had a Huffy. Wasn't cool, but hey, it got me around. And you carve trails and you make jumps out of whatever wood and plywood you can find in Dad's garage, and you find dirt piles and trails to have natural jumps and things. And with skateboarding, when the whole skateboarding is not a crime movement was going on, and I was one of those that loved my skateboard. I loved going to the schoolyard and trying to jump off of anything or create tricks, and again took out all the plywood out of my dad's garage and tried to build a skate ramp, and did my best not to break any limbs. To me, it is a safety piece for the parks and residents. It's also rider safety, I think, is a big piece as well. I do think that one of the nice things that we have being here at a local level is if there's pieces to this ordinance that we find that are not working, we can revisit it and we can address the things on a different level here. And that is one of the things about local activity and local involvement that creates that change. So is this perfect? I don't know. We're the 3rd city that's addressing this. And so a lot of other cities are looking at how we are going to execute this. They're going to hear your feedback and comments. So it will be some trial and error, but we have the flexibility to revisit this if we're finding that it is too punitive or things that we are missing from it. So I do want you all to keep that in mind as well. Councilor Patton, you had a comment or question?
I have a couple of requests for staff. So if we go forward with this, something that we discussed tonight was setting speed limits for the bike trail and for parks. I've made some suggestions. I don't know if anybody else has suggestions, but is that something that has the Bike and Ped and the Traffic Safety Commission both met this month?
No, we meet next week. I don't know about Bike and Ped.
Councilor Waterman, has Bike and Ped met?
No, not yet. Next, it's the second Tuesday.
Okay. Would it be unreasonable to see if in the next 30 days that those two folks can weigh in on possible speed limits for parks and the logging trail so that we can get that expedited? Does that seem reasonable, or is that an unreasonable request? Reasonable. Okay. Second one is.
We already have that info.
Okay, so we already have that. Okay. So then the next one is, as it has been mentioned, as far as this is a starting point, we need to move from here. I'm very serious about this. We need your names, we need your contact information, because the Bike and Ped, and in my opinion, the Bike and Ped and the Traffic Safety Commission need to prioritize having a much deeper discussion about where we go next on this ordinance and how we accommodate some of the demands of the youth of this community. And so I would like to see that prioritized as well, so that you folks do not feel like you are being silenced and your voices are not heard, and you actually have some say in this matter. So that is the other thing I would like to prioritize for future updates. Is that reasonable?
Sure.
Okay, great. That's all I have.
So there's a motion on the table. All those in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call. Thanks.
Counselor Patton?
Aye.
Counselor Maldonado?
Aye.
Counselor Davis?
Aye.
Counselor Stearns?
Aye.
Counselor Waterman?
Aye.
And Council President Hensley?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you all for your conversation, discussion, and to everyone here, thank you very much for being tuned in. Yes, sir.
Chief, can you come up and final comments? I want to thank the chief for your comments. I want to thank everybody here. I want to see if we can commit tonight to Captain, thank you, with the folks in this room. I'm passing around a sign-up sheet for contact information right now. As you are out there making contact and educating, if we can commit to working with the group that on the list that we're going to collect and staying in touch, being proactive, and then come back to council maybe like 2 or 3 months from now with a report on our progress.
Absolutely.
Yes, no problem. Sound good? Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comment, Councilor? No. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay.
Moving on our agenda, item C, resolution number 1469, resolution repealing the Canby City Council policies and operating guidelines that were adopted in November of 2025 and adopting an updated version of the policies and operating guidelines in August of 2026. Maya, I think that's your.
Thank you, Mayor. Maya Benham, Administrative Director and City Recorder. So Council, you may recall that our council policies and guidelines were adopted this past November 2025. And before that, they were not adopted or revised for quite some time, back in 2018. And so 2025, we used the League of Oregon Cities model to use to update. And since that date, the subcommittee has gotten together a few times. The subcommittee included Councilor Davis, Council President Hensley, and Councilor Patton, and Emily Guymont, our city attorney, and myself. So we've taken the 2025 version, gotten together a few times, updated the language, just to have a few items more clear and understandable. Specifically, the agenda, the order of the agenda, there are a few things that were just rearranged or gives us flexibility to put on the agenda if needed, because sometimes, for example, staff introductions, we don't always have those every time. Another piece, I listed them in the staff report, but because of time's sake, I'm gonna maybe make it a little shorter. But I did want to bring to your attention that one part in there with the language was resolutions and ordinances need to be reviewed by city attorney, all of them, and I realized that does not always happen, and so I brought that before the subcommittee. So we revised the language to be as to legal form. So basically, our city attorney can review the ordinances after I produce the packet. There's still enough time for, if there's something glaring, for our city attorney to alert our city administrator or myself before our next meeting. So another change was under attendance. We had originally in the 2025 version that council will need to alert city administrator, city recorder, and our presiding officer, mayor, And we narrowed that down to just 2, to our presiding officer and city recorder, myself. So those are just a few of those changes. This policy is set to kind of be reviewed every 3 years, and, there's always room for more changes to be made. But I'm happy to take any questions, along with including our lovely subcommittee, if there's any questions.
I guess, Paul and Daniel, do you have questions? We don't, because we never wrote it.
So just, if we're going to be in absence, we need to get that to
Maya.
To the city recorder and to the mayor.
Okay.
And
both.
we did add in there, I meant to say 24 hours in advance, if possible. I realize that sometimes that's not always possible, but it's greatly appreciated.
Are you ready for a motion?
Sure.
Okay, I move to adopt resolution number 1469, a resolution repealing the Canby City Council's policies and operating guidelines adopted in November of 2025 and adopting an updated version of August of 2026.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Davis and seconded by Council President Hensley to approve resolution number 1469, a resolution repealing the Canby City Council's policies and operating guidelines that were adopted November of 2025 and adopting an updated version of new policies and operating guidelines for in August of 2026. Any other comment or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Abstain.
An abstention?
Abstain.
Motion passes 5-0-1. It is 9:24. We have still other business, city administrator business and staff report, mayor's business, and council comments and liaison reports left to do. What is the flavor of the council this evening? Councilor Patton.
So, so in advance here, I was just curious. I would really like to get through, I'm curious as to how, what is involved with this middle housing Oregon Home Rule changes letter. Is that,
It's important.
is it a beefy thing? Is it like a 10-minute thing? A 3-minute thing? Okay. And then I would really like to allow the city administrator to give us some staff updates. So, going till 9:45.
I say we forego our reports for next time since it's so early in the
Yes.
month anyway.
But at least throw those 2 items and go till 9:45 to at least get those taken care of, is what
second
I would
that.
recommend.
If that was a motion, I
I
second
see
it.
daggers coming from Counselor Davis, but
No, I'm good. Let's do it. We're spending more time talking about it than we are anything else.
Fair play.
Randy, does that provide you enough time to cover off what you need to cover with us tonight?
20 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, yes.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Item 11, middle housing Oregon Home Rule changes.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President Hensley, and council members. I'll try to be quick tonight. In your packets is a letter that staff has put together for the mayor's signature. High level, it's fairly complicated, but I'm going to really boil this down. The Land Conservation and Development Department of the state put together a set of rules, proposed rules that are a outcome of House Bill 2258. That they're trying to implement what was basically framed in House Bill 2258. A number of cities have significant concerns with this. League of Oregon Cities is very concerned about it. Happy Valley, Oregon City, City of Portland, City of Newport on the coast, State Fire Marshal's office. I can go on. Essentially what this does is it's a set of rules that they've really gone way beyond what was intended in House Bill 2258. The state is trying to frame a statewide planning framework for all of Oregon, which would have significant implementation issues and would go against all the basically framework that we're doing for our comprehensive plan, goals and policies, and specifically for housing. For example, if the rules as proposed were to go in an existing lot that's between 1,500 and 20,000 square feet, so I'll give you an example, something at Mark's Place at 7,000 square feet could have theoretically up to 11 units on it, even though it's zoned low-density residential. So essentially, it would remove our ability to regulate zoning for housing. And it would require 5-foot setbacks when the city requires 20 feet in the front yard, 7-foot side yards, and 10 to 15 feet in the rear yard. It's incredibly unpopular by the cities, and they're trying to reframe this. We would like to be part of that discussion and to put forward our thoughts as well, so thus the letter in your packets. We have suggestions in addition to that we don't like it, but we have suggestions as well that we put into the letter. And so I'm here tonight to answer any questions about this. The hope is that there's kind of a significantly backing off of this. The intention of House Bill 2258 was really to come up with model off-the-shelf plans for pre-approved housing units, so you could have a single-family home that was pre-approved, more of that kind of thing, so you could come in with a set of plans that the state has already approved, and that could be a single-family home in a single-family low-density residential situation versus basically allowing apartments in low-density residential areas. So we are significantly opposed to this in the planning department, and I think the city as a whole is opposed to it, as well as all the other comparative cities that we have that are adjacent to us. So I'm not happy to answer any questions.
I think that was a good synopsis.
No, thank you, Don. Yeah, you guys, this is, again, it's further, to me, it's further erosion of our ability to dictate how we as a city move forward. And fortunately, that's been a conversation amongst even Portland. If, Portland's got concerns about housing density, then, they hear the message and figure it out. But, so I hope that you guys support this letter and I can put a signature to it.
Do we need a motion?
I would prefer a motion, yes.
I move that we send the letter from Mayor Brian Hodson to the DLCD regarding the middle housing Oregon home rule change.
Second. Motion made by Council President Hensley and seconded by Council Davis to approve the mayor signing a letter to the DLCD regarding middle housing and home rule changes. Any further comment? Yes?
So I just wanted to say that I do not deem this a middle finger letter to the governor, and so I'm happy to approve supporting it.
And just as a note, I mean, our tone, et cetera, is pretty consistent with the other letters that have already been submitted. And there was a hearing that went 3.5 hours long, a lot of testimony, and between the letters and that hearing, they've extended it, and so our letter would go in this week to support that. So professional tone, but strong opposition.
Fantastic.
Middle finger by index.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries 6-0. We will get that signed and off. Thank you, Don, appreciate it. Item 12, City Administrator Business and Staff Reports. Mr. Ely.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First, I just wanted to not let it go unnoticed. I thought tonight's meeting was rather beautiful and eloquent, showing of community interfacing with a local city council. I've worked for a lot of cities and haven't really seen anything quite like that. So kudos to you all. We will do our part. I'm looking outside. They're talking to the chief and captain right now in the lobby. So it's just a really nice moment in local government. So thank you for that. Thanks for Chad for being here. He's no Emily, of course, but it's nice having him in the seat. And I'll just get on with a brief update. City Administrator report. Just in the spirit of keeping you up to speed on, you can pass these around. I think I shared these with you via email earlier, but a couple of our local nonprofits asked if I would do a letter of support for their grants to the Reeser Family Foundation. So I want to make sure I'm in line with our policies, that I'm not out writing letters on my own, that you're approving these, but it's for our adult center and Canby together.
May I add on that?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Counselor, you helped me with that. Counselor
Yes,
Davis.
Anyway, the one for the Canby Adult Center, that one was very, very time sensitive. It had to be in within a matter of days, so it would have been us not supporting it, and so the city administrator made that decision.
Okay, leadership positions. As you know, we have signed contract with Jose Gonzalez as our interim police chief. We call him chief around the office, so thank you for your support on that. That's a one-year contract through June 30 of 2027. And we are now starting our recruitment for a public works director. I want to thank Spencer, who's here. He has been doing at least 3 jobs in public works, and I think you all know that. And not kidding, not making that up. His supervisor job, interim public works director, and office support, because we were in transition there, but they found a great new hire. She started today, I think? Yesterday. So kudos to Spencer for steering the ship. A lot going on in public works. It's the summer, and as you can only imagine, he has probably shut my phone down because it distracts him from running a tight ship and doesn't need any distractions. So Walnut, very, very nice we did get a bid list of approximately, I think we're going to put my staff report up on the screen, but 35 people checked out bids for or picked up bids from the bid center for the intersection permit. Which August 8th is the bid opening, and August 12th, as Spencer tells me, he's coming to council with a recommendation. Yes.
If I may, I have a quick question about that. So just so I understand it, there's a company that's already doing the main part of the road. This is a contract just for where the road is going to attach to 99E, and there could be a whole different company that does that little section, correct?
Correct. So the entire Walnut broken into 3 phases. 1 is done, 2 is underway, 3 is going out to bid, and 35 people have picked up the plans.
Okay.
It's about, it looked like the engineer's estimate was about $1.5 million for the job. Yeah. Thanks, Spencer. Just a technical question for council on schedule look ahead. We don't have anything scheduled for next week, August 12th, Wednesday, or the following off Wednesday. So Mayor, you and I maybe can talk about council schedules, availability for a workshop where we can look at our work plan for the staff for the rest of the year and council goals. I spent some time with Councilor Waterman recently, and we walked through your entire goal list and checked off darn near 95% of the action items from the 2-year plan. So I think it's a good time might be a good time for us to come back and share just where we're at on everything. But Mayor, I haven't consulted you yet on your schedule and setting the council agenda yet. So August 12th is the next Wednesday. So I'm looking for preference, and maybe I can send out an email, or the following off Wednesday, which is maybe the last Wednesday in August. We typically don't work on that day. So I'll just put that out there that that's coming to you. Next, after you did your policies and procedures, I've been getting some questions about maybe updating the boards and commissions. So taking a look at that as a next effort with legal counsel. I've had some requests maybe to take a look at making sure, like in some of our boards and commissions, that people who live outside the city limits could have 1 seat. And among other things that you all are wanting to be looking at with boards and commissions. So
That's on there. I want to re-emphasize that Spencer's trying to get those fences down for Daphne Glen. Thank you for the renaming that as soon as possible, possibly this week, knock on wood. And then keep your calendars open if you'd like to drop by for an August 18th grand opening, which Jamie Stickle will help us market and publicize. I believe it's 18, not 19. 18. And there is a neighborhood block party going on up there by there. So it coincides nicely with their party, we understand. And we would do it sort of like a 2 to 5 window in the afternoon with moms and kids, right? And snow cones. There's a promise of maybe some snow cones for the kids. And a ceremony, blessing, all the things. And so we're working on those details, but our target is August 18th and we're going to start getting that out to the community.
And you're saying 2 o'clock start?
We're thinking afternoonish because then.
My
Go
2
ahead.
cents?
Yeah.
I think that 2 o'clock would be preferred because it is the opening day of the fair and the Kiwanis does their kitty caper parade starting at 10 a.m.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, most of the kiddos will be.
And all the kiddos will be riding their bikes in the parade.
Yeah. All right, so 2.
Yeah, they're e-bikes.
They can e-bike over.
Well, so are we saying that they're going to be at the fair that day?
Well,
versus being
yes,
at the
but
park?
they could be at the fair, but if you're starting at 10 a.m., those moms are going to want those kids out of the fair by 2 o'clock probably. I mean, I know I did when I was a mom. I mean, I am a mom, but when I was a mom of littles, you already see everything by then, and they've had enough cotton candy and elephant ears by then. So.
Okay. Still efforting. The school superintendent is on vacation this week, but we're trying to get a joint meeting with the city council and school board. Haven't lost that note. And I'm trying to set up tours with the council and some invested stakeholders to go visit some water treatment plants that were recently built. Carrie Duncan, the general manager over at Canby Utility, worked at the Lake Oswego Tigard water treatment plant for a long time and is really proud of that facility. And it's something that we can look at that we might envision for our area where there's pedestrian access and interaction on trails and green space and so on and so forth. So I'll work with Todd Wood on getting us a bus and then picking a day where we could all maybe go take a peek. Working with Chad's firm, Josh Soper, on those 2 pieces of legislation that Don is wrestling with on essentially if you want to come in and propose a housing subdivision, you can bypass planning commission and go straight to staff. And so we're working with other planners and legal counsel on nomenclature called closed record hearings that's starting to show up, but just trying to figure out how we're going to walk that path, keeping our, as you said, Mayor, earlier, further eroding our local control. So all the planners in the state, all the legal councils and cities are trying to figure out the next chapter here on this mandate. Did I say enough on that? Okay. We are getting 30 to 90% drawings on the final urban renewal project, so hopefully next meeting I'll have something for you. And I do have a pedal park meeting tomorrow. So as you have heard, it's a meeting with a consultant that you've already met with. Her firm has talked to Canby in the past, but she's kind of circled back around and said, can I talk to you about this idea again? So we are going to have a Zoom call, and Councilor Davis, happy to have you join the call. It's just a call to hear more about, because it is eligible, SDC eligible project, and we have SDC funds. So I was going to call you and talk to you tomorrow to invite you to the call if you want to listen in or participate.
Okay, there has been a lot of discussion before you're here, Randy, about that.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily been on the radar for the Park and Rec Committee.
Oh,
that kind of dropped off as far as the projects go on the pedal park. We've discussed it with the comp plan a little bit, But, we might want, so we don't circumvent the Park and Rec Committee, we might want to talk to them as well.
Good advice. Thank you, Counselor. If there's any other top-of-mind questions, I can just, as I mentioned earlier, I'm really trying to kickstart Pine Street. So the Budget Committee gave me the authority to work on a procurement solution and a project manager solution. And so I'm working on both of those right now for you. I'll bring more information as it comes, but we are talking about getting our arms around Pine Street right now. There's a lot of things about engineer of record and what the design of that is going to look like, what the alternatives are, but I want to start making sure the public understands that that's the next big project on our CIP transportation list, Pine Street, and all the way from Territory all the way down to the fairgrounds.
It is a big nugget.
Spencer's underway right now. You'll see, you approved the contract for Ivy Street, North Ivy. So they're doing the, have you seen the intersections they're doing? So thanks to Spencer and the team for getting that project going. They're out there doing those first, and then we'll do the street. Feels like I'm forgetting something, but I want to make sure Don?
Yeah, just, this may not be what you're forgetting, but I wanted to make a plug. So next Tuesday, August 11th, we're having an Urban Growth Boundary Summit, Urban Growth Boundary Concept Planning Summit. Canby, it's going to be at the Cutsforth Town Hall across the street. So August 11, 6 to 8 p.m. It'll be interactive. We will have land use pieces like we did for the comp plan, but this is going to be for the urban growth boundary area. The invite is specifically really targeted to people that live in that area that are potentially going to be part of the urban growth boundary expansion area, but just wanted to let you know that's an important meeting for the community to weigh in, and that sets the stage then for us going into hearings with the Planning Commission in August and with you all in September. So this is on a fairly quick path. We're trying to move this forward to get everything adopted by the end of the year. There's the potential that we may have some consequences if we don't get everything adopted by the end of the year, like having to repeat the housing needs analysis. There's weird legislation that the state has, so we're trying to get it all done by the end of the year, including the County Board of Commissioners, which is also part of that approval piece as well. So August 11, 6 to 8 p.m., love to have you. We can do a quorum notice, so just wanted to, we're going to have 21 tables over there. It'll be a good time. So, okay, thank you.
Great. Anything else, sir?
That's it for staff. End of report.
Great. We'll forego mayor's business. You all decide to forego council comments. Any additional citizen input this evening? Okay, seeing none. Maya, action.
No.
Councilor Patton, did you have a question?
Nope.
Miss Maya, would you please recap what we did?
You've approved the consent agenda, adopted ordinance numbers 1674 and 1675, adopted resolution numbers 1468 and 1469, and authorized the mayor to sign the Middle Housing Oregon Home Rule Changes Letter.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Canby, we are adjourned. Good night. Paul, thank you. Have a good evening.